Chapter 2701. Zhang Liju didn't die? That's the last possibility I wanted to talk about. Lin Yi paused, a strange look on his face. Zhang Liju? He's not dead. What? Bai Boss was quite shocked by Lin Yi's words as he looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Not dead? How many years has it been? How is he not dead? Even a Sky-class late-phase peak would be dead by now, right? Sky-class late-phase peak theoretically had the ability to extend their lifespan indefinitely, but that was only in theory. It was limited by the amount of treasures and the amount of chi in the world. It was already quite impressive to be able to live up to 200 to 300 years, and living up to 400 to 500 years was a miracle. Regular practitioners without resources could only live up to 100 years. What if he's a heavenly Dao master? Lin Yi didn't believe in the existence of heavenly Dao masters before, thinking that it was just a legend, but after hearing the Fire Lion's words and seeing that thing, Lin Yi finally understood that heavenly Dao masters had existed before. Yes. Bai Boss took in a cold breath. You're saying that Grandmaster Zhang Liju isn't dead, and this tomb is fake to confuse people? I'm not sure if it is, and I don't know the specifics either. I'm just guessing, Lin Yi said. Bai Boss nodded slowly. Lin Yi's prediction was quite possible. With that thought, Bai Boss asked curiously, then if the person in the tomb is Grandmaster Zhang Liju, why would he take Xiaoke away to scare us? I don't know, but maybe he didn't take her away. Lin Yi shook his head. Grandmaster Zhang Liju might not be here anymore, or it wouldn't have been so smooth when we raided the tomb for the first time, and Skybolt Pig has been living on his own all these years. Lin Yi suddenly thought of Skybolt Pig and quickly gave him a kick. I say, little thing, is Zhang Liju dead or not? GG. The Skybolt Pig whimpered and pointed at the ground with its paw, indicating that the stone floor was too hard for it to write. Lin Yi was about to tell it not to write and that it only needed to draw words on the ground. Suddenly, the sarcophagus in front of him disappeared. The sarcophagus disappeared into thin air. It disappeared in front of Lin Yi and Boss Bai. The place where the sarcophagus was originally placed was now flat ground. Fuck. If Lin Yi wasn't brave enough, he would have pissed his pants. The coffin was gone? Moreover, it disappeared without a sound or warning. Although Lin Yi's eyes were on Skybolt Pig, he could see the coffin from the corner of his eyes. No one came to move the coffin, and the coffin simply disappeared into the ground. It was like the ginseng fruit from Journey to the West falling to the ground. It was gone. Boss Bai was already so old, and he used to be the head of the Five Elements sect. Even he felt a little breathless at this moment. If Lin Yi didn't cure his old disease, he might have died of a heart attack. This place is too weird. Boss Bai took a deep breath. But before we find Xiaoke, I can't leave. How about this, Master Bai? Let Skybolt Pig take you away first. Lin Yi suggested. After all, Boss Bai was here with him and he didn't have much of a relationship with Xiaoke. There was no need for him to wait here, so Lin Yi asked him to leave first. How can I do that? Boss Bai shook his head. I'm your teacher, how can I leave you here? It's fine, I'll stay here. Okay. Lin Yi didn't insist and started to carefully examine the ground where the coffin was placed. After calming down, Lin Yi thought of some important questions. Most importantly, even if a Sky-class master came here and captured Xiaoke, why didn't Lin Yi's Jade warn him? Xiaoke was one of the members of Lin Yi's exploration team. If anyone in the team was in danger, the Jade would warn him in advance. Now that Xiaoke disappeared and the Jade didn't warn him, did it mean that Xiaoke wasn't in danger? Or could it be that Xiaoke wasn't captured but left on her own? This was the only explanation that made sense. Otherwise, why didn't the Jade react at all? After calming down, Lin Yi started to observe carefully. The ground here was no different from the surrounding ground, but the more it was like this, the more strange Lin Yi felt. If there was a coffin here, then the dust on the ground here should be much less than the other places. There should have been the outline of a sarcophagus here, but there wasn't one here, which meant that there was often dust here, which was why it was like this. In other words, it seemed like there was no coffin here at all. This stone room was more like an empty tomb. However, just as Lin Yi was looking, a coffin suddenly appeared again. It appeared in front of Lin Yi and Boss Bai just like that, and on top of the coffin stood a person. It was the missing Xiaoke. Even if Lin Yi had a strong endurance, he was still shocked. However, Xiaoke was finally back, which made Lin Yi sigh in relief. Xiaoke, you're finally back. Just now you, male thief, I found a mechanism, a big secret about the tomb. Xiaoke's face was full of excitement. The tomb we're in is only the first floor, there are more buildings below. What? You mean you went to the next floor? Lin Yi was shocked, his eyes wide open as he looked at Xiaoke in disbelief. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that there was another world below the tomb. Not to mention that Lin Yi could find this secret. He didn't even think about it before, but Xiaoke did. Yes, this coffin isn't actually a coffin, it's an elevator. Through this elevator you can go to the floor below. Xiaoke said. Of course, I'm just making an analogy. This thing shouldn't be powered by electricity. So, this thing is a mechanism similar to the elevator, right? Boss Bai was also very surprised and looked at Xiaoke with admiration. How did you find it? Chapter 2702. A different world, and then? You found out about this secret? Lin Yi was very impressed as well. It seemed like bringing Xiaoke back to the tomb was a wise choice. If he came alone, he wouldn't have studied the coffin, and he wouldn't have been able to discover the secret of this staircase. Especially the strange tales chronicle Lin Yi and Boss Bai were about to leave, but Xiaoke found out that something was amiss. It seemed that Xiaoke was indeed a professional. No wonder old He would pay such a high price to hire a trap master like her to go with him. Yeah, I thought we could open some secret passageway, but I found a staircase. There's a whole different world down there with a lot of things for women. Xiaoke said. Let's go down and take a look then? Lin Yi was very curious about the space down there, but he was worried that Boss Bai wouldn't want to explore it. Alright, let's go take a look then. Boss Bai was curious as well. He was suspicious about this solid coffin. What if it was as Lin Yi guessed, that Zhang Liju wasn't dead? Could it be down there? If he could see Zhang Liju with his own eyes, Boss Bai would be very excited. Then we'll all stand on top of the coffin. I'll activate the mechanism. And so, Lin Yi, Boss Bai, and Xiaoke as well as Skybolt Pig, stood on top of the coffin. Xiaoke then pressed on the wall, and the coffin started to descend quickly, but the speed was very stable and there was no impact at all. It was so quiet that people couldn't even feel that the coffin was moving. Lin Yi couldn't help but be amazed by this situation. The design of this tomb was truly amazing. Lin Yi took a closer look, and when Xiaoke pressed the mechanism, there weren't any bumps or bumps. It didn't look like anything was wrong. He didn't know how Xiaoke found out about it. The coffin stopped very quickly and Lin Yi and the others got off. They were now in an empty stone room, but one look was enough to tell that this stone room was different from the previous one. There were no carvings of Zhang Liju on the walls. Lin Yi frowned as he watched the Skybolt Pig jump down from the coffin. This fella doesn't seem to be surprised at all. Could it be, Skybolt Pig, did you already know that there was an underground space here? Lin Yi lowered his head and asked Skybolt Pig. GG. The Skybolt Pig was a little helpless, but he still nodded to show that he understood. Then why didn't you say so earlier? Lin Yi glared at Skybolt Pig angrily. Wasn't this asking him to do it twice? If he had known, he would have gone to the tomb the first time he came. Why wait until now? GG. Skybolt Pig used his two front paws to gesture something as if he was defending himself. Write it on the ground with your paws. Lin Yi didn't understand what it was trying to say. It was too complicated and Lin Yi couldn't guess what it was trying to say. Master said to let nature take its course. That was what Skybolt Pig wrote on the ground. Let nature take its course. Lin Yi sighed and understood what Zhang Liju meant. It seemed like Zhang Liju wanted to let fate take its course. Being able to open the tomb and accept his legacy was a form of fate. Everything else was better to let nature take its course. There was no need to force anything. Skybolt Pig followed his master's wishes and didn't tell Lin Yi that there was another level below the tomb. It was reasonable and Lin Yi had no reason to blame him. Forget it, let's go for a walk. Xiaoke, there's no danger here, right? Lin Yi looked at Xiaoke and asked. No. Xiaoke shook her head. Xiaoke shook her head. But I didn't go far. I just walked around for a bit before going back. Huh. That coffin disappeared again. Is it okay? White Boss suddenly pointed at the corner of the wall where the coffin used to be. The coffin went back up by itself. It's fine. Xiaoke shook her head. There's a mechanism here. The coffin can come down and pick us up anytime. Oh. White Boss nodded. It made sense. Otherwise, how would Xiaoke go back up? The three left the stone room together. Lin Yi insisted on walking in front. His jade had an alarm function, and he would be able to react immediately if there was any danger. Piglet, you stay with me. If there's danger, you can take care of it in advance. You don't want me to die, do you? Lin Yi kicked Skybolt Pig. I'm telling you, I'm an Earth Class mid-phase peak now. It's only a matter of time before I reach Sky Class. When that time comes, I'll be able to raise you to Earth Class late phase peak. If you don't want that strength, then pretend I didn't say anything. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig heard Lin Yi's words and started drooling. He nodded, saying that he'll take care of it. Lin Yi was satisfied with Skybolt Pig's attitude, and so the man and pig went to the front to explore the way. Xiaoka and White Boss followed behind, and the three of them left the stone room together. After exiting the stone room, a huge hall came into view. It was very spacious. Although it was called a hall, it was more like a training field. There was a place to rest at the side of the hall. Around the hall, other than the stone room that they came out from, there were 3 other rooms. Is this all? Lin Yi looked at the spacious hall and said in shock. The situation here was out of Lin Yi's expectations. It was completely different from the first floor. This was more like an enlarged version of a house with 4 rooms and a living room. Yes, this is all, Xiaoka nodded. I went to the nearest room and I think it's a woman's room. A woman's room? Lin Yi was shocked. No way. Zhang Liju was quite a playboy? Living with a beauty in an ancient tomb? Ahem. White Boss blushed as well. He felt that it wasn't a good idea to talk bad about his grandmaster behind his back. Skybolt Pig, what's going on? Lin Yi turned to Skybolt Pig. Who's this woman? Zhang Liju said to let nature take its course, but Lin Yi had already noticed the problem and Skybolt Pig, in order to level up, couldn't care less. He started to tell the story of this place. Chapter 2703. They all live here, so there are women's things here. The tomb above is just to confuse people, and this is where Zhang Liju, Ice Fairy and Snow Fairy really live, Skybolt Pig continued. The sect master of Ice Palace? And the sect master of Snow Valley? Lin Yi's eyes went wide. He didn't know who the sect master of Snow Valley was, but the sect master of Ice Palace? Wasn't that Miss Crystal Candy's master? Yes, they were also the founders of Ice Palace and Snow Valley, and because one of them had the surname Bing and the other Shui, they were called Ice Fairy and Snow Fairy. From then on, everyone who inherited the position of Ice Palace and Snow Valley's headmaster, no matter what their previous name was, would have this surname, Skybolt Pig explained. The Zhang Liju. He's really something. Lin Yi couldn't help but be impressed. Skybolt Pig, are they really dead? Since there's a place to live here and there's a teleportation staircase, does that mean that they've been living here for a while? The master and the 2 mistresses were all Sky Class late phase peak, and had reached the limit of their lifespan. Even Zhang Liju couldn't sustain the 3 of them with all the treasures he had, and so the 3 of them made a deal to build an ancient tomb, and with the thought of success or death, they came here to do their closed-door training, looking for a way to break through Sky Class late phase peak and step into Heavenly Dao. If they succeeded, then they would become Heavenly Dao Masters, and they could pursue that legendary immortality, but if they didn't, then the 3 of them would sleep together in this tomb, and this would be their eternal home, Skybolt Pig explained. Then is Zhang Liju dead or not? Lin Yi asked. Shouldn't be dead, Skybolt Pig wrote after some hesitation. Shouldn't be dead? What do you mean by shouldn't be dead? Lin Yi asked curiously. If he's dead, then he's dead, and if he's not dead, then he's not dead. One day they disappeared together and I'm guessing that they succeeded. After becoming Heavenly Dao Masters, they would go to a place called Sky Class Island. Master has many friends and connections, there should be a way to get there. Skybolt Pig wrote. I see. Lin Yi nodded. If that was the case, then Zhang Liju was most likely still alive and so were his 2 girlfriends. But Lin Yi was curious. Then didn't you come back here to take a look? I can't. Writing until here, the Skybolt Pig pointed at the stone door in the farthest room and said, that stone door can only be opened by a heaven rank expert. I can't open it. They disappeared from that room. Oh. Lin Yi was a little surprised. He didn't think that there would be such a mechanism in the ancient tomb. He wanted to go and take a look. Should we go to that door first? Thunder Pig nodded and led the way. Xiaoka was confused. Boss Bai was okay since it was related to the sect, but Xiaoka didn't know what Skybolt Pig was writing at all. The 3 of them arrived in front of the furthest stone door. Sure enough, next to the stone door Lin Yi found a line of words. Simplified recipe for Sky Dao Golden Core. Sky Class Late Phase Peak Masters, Mystic First Level Refiner, can open this door, Zhang Liju. Sky Dao Golden Core? Lin Yi looked at the words on the wall in shock and turned to Skybolt Pig. What is this Sky Dao Golden Core? Sky Class Late Phase Peak Masters can break through to Sky Dao after consuming it? I think so. Master has been studying how to make the Sky Dao Golden Core, and the 2 mistresses have been sparring every day in the training field, trying to find a way to break through to Sky Dao, Skybolt Pig explained. See. Lin Yi was very excited by Skybolt Pig's words. So Sky Dao really did exist and Zhang Liju. He actually created the Sky Dao Golden Core. That meant that a Sky Class Late Phase Peak Master could instantly break through to Sky Dao after consuming the Sky Dao Golden Core? Isn't this way too awesome and magical? And this secret was discovered by Lin Yi. If after some time, Lin Yi really became a Sky-class late-phase peak master, wouldn't he be invincible after consuming the Sky Dao Golden Core? Of course, this didn't include that so-called Sky-class island. There were definitely a lot of Sky Dao masters there, and Lin Yi's invincibility was only limited to the ancient level and 5-element sect. So, Master Zhang really made the Sky Dao Golden Core? Bai Boss' expression was very weird. According to the sect, Master Zhang Liju left the sect to find the method to make the Sky Dao Golden Core, and no one heard from him ever since. At that time, many people laughed at him, saying that it wasn't practical, and that it was better to work hard and break through to Sky Dao. But Master Zhang Liju firmly believed that he could make the Sky Dao Golden Core. However, with the disappearance of the founder, this matter slowly died down and no one mentioned it again. Seems like he really did it. Lin Yi was once again filled with hope and confidence for the future. Step by step, there were hardships and dangers, but the heavens rewarded the hardworking, and Lin Yi's hard work brought hope to the heavens. But we can't go in right now. Bai Boss actually wanted to see what the Sky Dao Golden Core recipe looked like. After all, he was a refiner and he had an unforgettable feeling towards recipes. Plus, Bai Boss's idol and goal back then was Master Zhang Liju, but because of an accident, his dream was cut short. But now he had hope again. Let's go see the other rooms. Lin Yi didn't try to break the stone door with brute force. Since Zhang Liju said so, he would definitely take some precautions, and Lin Yi didn't want to waste his efforts. They went to the stone room in the middle, the one Xiaoka hadn't been to before. As long as there was no danger here, there was no danger. However, looking at Skybolt Pig's actions, there was no danger at all. Skybolt Pig deftly opened the mechanism of the stone door and the stone door opened. This was a weapons display room. On the wall of this room there was a huge rack. Inside the rack there were 3 types of weapons. Yes, there were only 3 weapons, no more, no less. Other than that, there was nothing else in the room. But it was normal. Be it Zhang Liju, Ice Fairy, or Snow Fairy, they were all Sky-class late-phase peak masters, and other than their love for each other, they were all focused on the pursuit of martial arts. Other than weapons, they wouldn't study anything else. Chapter 2704. No, Master is a refiner and doesn't have a weapon. If you really have to talk about a weapon, it would be the Shinnon Cauldron replica. Sky Thunder Pig shook his head and wrote, "The 3 weapons here belong to Ice Fairy and Snow Fairy. Ice Fairy has 2 weapons while Snow Fairy has 1. However, their mental cultivation techniques and physiques are similar. Their weapons are all water-type weapons and can be used together." I see. Lin Yi nodded and walked closer. As expected, 2 of the weapons had the word ice on them, and the other one had the word snow. Although these weapons were useless to Lin Yi wanted them for himself. These 2 weapons originally belonged to the Ice Palace, and if he could give one to Xiao Xiao, she would be very happy, right? As for the other one, he could give it to Crystal Candy. Of course, she had to be smart enough to return Xiao Xiao. The weapons of Snow Valley were useless to Lin Yi. He didn't know anyone from Snow Valley, but if he took the good stuff first, it might be useful in the future. If it was stolen like the Shinnon Cauldron, then Lin Yi would regret it. Skybolt Pig, can I take all of these? Lin Yi asked. You are my master's fated one, and you are also my new master. Of course these things are all yours. Skybolt Pig wrote straightforwardly. Obviously Zhang Liju had told him before. Alright, I'll take them then, Lin Yi said and put the 3 weapons into his bag. Although Lin Yi didn't know what these weapons were and how powerful they were. But Lin Yi didn't care. He'd take them first. But after taking them all, Lin Yi felt that he was being too greedy. He turned to Boss Bai and Xiaoka. Do you guys want them? I'm a refiner, why would I need Sky-class weapons? Boss Bai smiled bitterly and shook his head. My weapon is also a cauldron. Then should I give you the real Shinnon Cauldron? Lin Yi asked. Boss Bai, however, shook his head with a smile. That thing can't be fixed. It's useless. It can only be a collectible. Lil E, you should keep it for yourself. Who knows, it might be useful one day. It's a waste to give it to me. Okay, what about you, Xiaoka? Lin Yi continued to ask. I don't even know what mental cultivation method I want to cultivate. It's useless even if I have it. I'll tell you when I need it. Xiaoka shook her head. She was greedy, but she didn't want weapons that were useless to the orphanage. Then let's go to the other stone room and see what's going on. Lin Yi nodded and did not say anything else. With Boss Bai, Xiaoka and Skybolt Pig, they went to the last stone room they hadn't seen yet. Of course, Xiaoka had been there before. After entering the stone room, Lin Yi saw a huge bed. So Lin Yi's heart started to flirt with this Zhang Liju. He was such a playboy, hugging women in his arms when he slept at night. From the looks of it, this was where Zhang Liju and the two ladies rested. The tomb above was really just an ancient tomb, and Zhang Liju should have been focusing on his research on the Sky Path Golden Elixir. He didn't do any research on other elixirs, so the things above weren't of much use. Here there's a big box with a lot of gold and silver hairpins and jewelry. Can I take them? Xiaoke looked at Lin Yi hesitantly. Ugh. Lin Yi didn't know if he should take these things. It was fine if he took the Sky-class weapon, but these were Zhang Liju's personal jewelry. It wouldn't be right if he took it, right? Boss Bai, on the other hand, had heard about Xiaoke from Lin Yi before. He respected this girl very much, so he nodded. Yi and I are both from Five Elements sect, and Zhang Liju's and the two grandmothers' belongings are also Five Elements sect's belongings. You can take anything you want. Since Ancestral Master and Ancestral Mother left and didn't take these things with them, it means that these things aren't very important and shouldn't be very useful to them. That's true. Lin Yi looked at Skybolt Pig again and realized that this little guy didn't seem to mind at all. It seemed like these things really weren't important. But thinking about it, it made sense. Liju, Ice Fairy, and Snow Fairy all went to pursue Heavenly Tao, and these things weren't really necessary. Then take it. Okay. Xiaoke happily opened her bag and put all the jewelry inside. These things could be sold for a good price. After Xiaoke was done, Lin Yi said, Master Bai, let's go. It's time to leave. Okay. Boss Bai nodded. I'm very happy to know that Zhang Liju might still be alive. If he could come back to Five Elements sect, I believe Shenshin and the others would restrain themselves. Haha, if he was willing to come back, he would have come back a long time ago. He wouldn't have waited until now. Lin Yi didn't have much hope. That's true. Let's go. Boss Bai said, and the group went to the stone room that they came from. Xiaoke pressed on the wall again, and not long after, the coffin appeared in the room. No one was surprised by this, and they stood on top of the coffin. Xiaoke didn't need to press the mechanism, and after a while the coffin moved on its own, returning to the main chamber on the upper floor. Now they were sure that there wasn't any danger here. The people who came here before had probably left long ago. All their worries were just for scaring themselves. Just as he was about to leave the tomb, Lin Yi started to covet the bead that tested for constitution. It was a good thing after all, and he wouldn't be happy if it was stolen as well. Should we take that bead as well? Boss Bai didn't want to take it at first, but then he thought that someone might come in and steal it. He hesitated and said, if you need it, we can take it too? Then let's take it too. Lin Yi nodded. After all, he wanted to test other people's attributes. For example, Mengyao and Yushu. Lin Yi had promised to help them find a suitable practitioner's arts, but he didn't know their attributes. Chapter 2705. After all, most of the attributes were hidden, and without special methods, one wouldn't be able to see them. One major attribute could be split into many smaller attributes, like Bingtong's Ice Heart, Xiaoxiaozine Cold, Auntie Qing's Ice, and so on. These were all under the water attribute. These attributes, on the other hand, couldn't be tested on the bead at all. Only the major attributes could be tested, and so there might be situations where the practitioner's arts didn't match well. But with this bead, one could at least know the direction of training. Of the 5 elements, only the water attribute was complicated. The others were fine. Lin Yi took the bead and left the tomb with Boss Bai and Xiaoke. The process was quite smooth and they didn't meet any danger or obstacles. The 3 entered the tomb at daybreak, and now that they came out, the sky was already filled with stars. This time the 3 returned with great rewards. Xiaoke got a bunch of jewelry, and Lin Yi got the answer to his constitution, 3 sky-class weapons and a bead for testing constitution. Boss Bai, on the other hand, got an exciting new, Master Zhang Liju might not be dead. After sending Xiaoke back to the orphanage, Lin Yi and Boss Bai returned to Donghai. Xiaoke didn't want to leave, but with Boss Bai there, she didn't keep the male thief for long. She just held his hand reluctantly and let him leave. Looking at the disappearing car, Xiaoke sighed. Was this love? If only the male thief was Lin Yi. There wouldn't be so many things to worry about, but he wasn't. She didn't know how to deal with Lin Yi, who was getting more and more insatiable. But thinking about the jewelry in her bag, Xiaoke felt happy again. These were all antiques, and even if they weren't priceless, they were still priceless. This trip wasn't a waste. On the way back, Boss Bai was still immersed in the exciting news that Zhang Liju might not be dead. What do you think? Should we look for Grandmaster Zhang's whereabouts? If we could find him, 5 Elements sect would have searched for him a long time ago. Zhang Liju is a Heavenly Tao master, we won't be able to find him easily. Lin Yi was calm, he didn't expect to find Zhang Liju. If Zhang Liju wanted to appear, he would appear. If he didn't want to appear, then so be it. No matter how you look, it's useless. Skybolt Pig had been in the tomb for 1,000 years, and he had never seen Zhang Liju. This meant that Zhang Liju had no intention of coming back. Otherwise, even if he didn't come back to the tomb, he would have gone back to Five Elements sect a long time ago. That's true. Boss Bai nodded. I was too impatient. Alright, Teacher Bai. Why don't you tell me the story between Zhang Liju and that ice and snow fairy? You're from the Five Elements sect, so you should know this story very well, right? Linny asked. He was very curious about Zhang Liju's love story. Of course, Xiao Xiao was part of the reason. Lin Yi was Zhang Liju's successor, and Xiao Xiao was the future Ice Palace master. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was the future palace master of the Ice Palace. Lin Yi felt like he was a little similar to Zhang Liju. But he didn't have a wife named Shuigu. Master Zhang Liju, the elixir refinement saint, the love story between him and the two masters' wives has been passed down for thousands of years. Master Shui and Master Ice were fellow disciples, and they were quite close as well. But they fell in love with the same man, and that man was Master Zhang Liju. Boss Bai told the story of the past, but what he knew was only from the sect's records. It wasn't the official records of the sect. But these two were both prideful people and they didn't want to share their love with others. Perhaps it was because they were fellow disciples and they didn't want to lose face. Oh? Then didn't they live together after that? Linny was surprised. I only found out about this from Skybolt Pig. They all followed Grand Master Zhang Liju. I only knew that Grand Master Zhang Liju married Grand Master Ice. Boss Bai said with a bitter smile. However, the Snow Ancestor chose to back off later. The reason was that the Ice Ancestor had a special constitution. She was poisoned and could not live past 20 years old. Therefore, after the Snow Ancestor learned the news, she did not want to compete with her and gave the man to the Ice Ancestor. Poisoned? Coldine body? Linny paused. He remembered Xiao Xiao's special body. Miss Crystal Candy had said that Xiao Xiao's body was similar to their master's. It seemed that this was true. That's right, Coldine body. Bai Boss nodded. That was why Grand Master Snow chose to back off, but Grand Master Zhang Liju was quite a character as well. He brought Grand Master Ice to the Ice Spirit Mountain, where the Ice Palace is now, and found the Fire Spirit's fruit, successfully prolonging Grand Master Ice's life. On the mountain, Grand Master Ice accidentally obtained the heritage of the mountain, discovering the ancient ruins of the Ice Palace, and established her own sect with it. But after eating the Fire Spirit fruit, her body became very weak. After all, she really shouldn't have eaten that fruit. It's only effective when you're going crazy. Taking it at normal times wouldn't help at all and would instead cause great harm. So, even after Master Ice became a Sky-class late-phase peak, her body wasn't that good. Master Zhang Liju had to keep making Ice Heart Jade Bone pills for her to keep her from falling sick. So Master Ice didn't die and Master Snow went to find them again? Linny couldn't help but ask curiously. No, according to the records, Master Snow had already said that she was going to give up. With her proud personality, why would she lower her head? Boss Bai shook his head. Plus, Master Snow wanted to forget them, so she created Snow Valley and Heartless Arts. Heartless Arts? Linny blinked. That's right. As the name suggests, Heartless Arts means that the person who practices it will abandon all emotions, no longer having love. Boss Bai said. They'll be like an ice mountain, hard for people to get close to. Chapter 2706. I don't know about that. Maybe something happened later on and Grand Master Shui returned to Liju's side, but I don't know the specifics. Bai Boss said, it seems like the three of them broke through Sky-class late-phase peak together and stepped into Sky's Tao, living the life of a celestial couple. Merciless arts can be broken? Linny was still a bit puzzled. Training in merciless arts and still being able to fall in love with Zhang Liju was quite miraculous. But, who knows? Bai Boss said, maybe the legends are wrong. Linny nodded. This was the only explanation. At the foot of the snowy valley, a patrolling disciple found a Jeep Wrangler SUV slowly moving towards the snowy valley. The patrolling disciple immediately came to the front of the Wrangler SUV and stretched out his palm, signaling the Wrangler to stop. Chapter 2716. School Beauty's personal expert. This is Snowy Valley's territory. If you are a traveler or an explorer, please stop here. The patrolling disciple's words sounded polite, but there was an irresistible sense of authority in it. This is Snowy Valley? Fun looked at the patrolling disciple in surprise. There was no one on the road and she almost thought that they had gone to the wrong place. In this world of ice and snow, this person is only wearing a white unlined garment? Isn't he cold? Xingwen said, surprised. I'll go take a look. Kang Xiaobo said to the two and got out. But as soon as Kang Xiaobo got out, a cold wind blew at his face and he couldn't help but shiver. He quickly adjusted his shirt and said, "Hello, you're a disciple of Snowy Valley, right? We're heading to Snowy Valley, can you please lead the way?" "Heading to Snowy Valley? Who are you? What are you doing here?" The patrolling disciple paused. Kang Xiaobo and the others didn't look like practitioners at all. They didn't have the aura of a practitioner at all. They looked more like tourists. "Visiting an old friend," Kang Xiaobo said. "Visiting an old friend? Where are your old friends?" The disciple asked curiously. "It's Tang Yun, my girlfriend grew up with her. We're here to visit her." Kang Xiaobo explained. "What? Are you here to visit Elder Tang?" The disciple was shocked when he heard Tang Yun's name. His expression changed from indifference to respect. "Please follow me, but you need to wait in the guest room. I need to report this to my superiors." "Okay, no problem. Thank you," Kang Xiaobo said politely. Although Tang Yun was very arrogant here, Kang Xiaobo wouldn't make things difficult for these ordinary patrolling disciples. Kang Xiaobo went back to his car and followed the patrolling disciple to the guest room of the Snow Valley. He rested there for a while the patrolling disciple went to report. Of course he wasn't going to report to Tang Yun, but to the Grand Elder. Although Tang Yun had a high status in Snowy Valley, the Grand Elder wanted to prevent Lin Yi's visit from affecting Tang Yun's training, so anyone who came to visit Tang Yun had to go through the Grand Elder's review and approval. The patrolling disciple went through Elder Zhang on duty to find the Grand Elder. That's right, Elder Zhang was still on duty today. Although Elder Zhang was good, he didn't dare to go against the Grand Elder's orders. "You're saying that the three people outside are Tang Yun's friends?" The Grand Elder frowned after hearing the disciple's report. "One man and two women? Could it be Lin Yi, Chu Mengyao and Yushu again?" "Elder Zhang, come with me. If it's them, tell them to go back." "Yes, Grand Elder." "Grand Elder," Elder Zhang hurriedly said. Thus, the Grand Elder and Elder Zhang came to the guest room and saw Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen. The Grand Elder let out a sigh of relief. As long as it wasn't Lin Yi, it was fine. She was afraid that Lin Yi would instigate Tang Yun to leave Snowy Valley and stop training. That would be a huge loss for her. "You three, this is the Grand Elder of Snowy Valley," Elder Zhang introduced to Kang Xiaobo and the others. "Nice to meet you, Grand Elder." Kang Xiaobo's tone was respectful, but he didn't think much of it. This was the old hag that Yushu talked about. She didn't look like someone easy to get along with. "School Beauty's personal expert 2716-inch, what's your purpose for coming here?" The Grand Elder asked directly. "We haven't seen Tang Yun for a long time. We just want to see her." "We don't have any other purpose," Kang Xiaobo said respectfully. School Beauty's personal expert was first published on www.guli.cc. Mobile users can visit wap.guli.cc. "Oh, it's fine if you want to see her. She's at a crucial point in her training right now, and I don't want her to keep thinking about the past. She might think of Lin Yi when she sees you guys, and that would be very painful for her. It would affect her training as well. If she were to go berserk, we wouldn't be able to bear the consequences," the Grand Elder said with a wave of his hand. "Ah, going mad?" Kang Xiaobo was shocked. He didn't think that he would go mad just by looking at Tang Yun. Wasn't this too scary? "That's right. You guys are Tang Yun's friends. There's no harm in me telling you in detail." The Grand Elder frowned slightly and said, "Come to think of it, you should know that when Tang Yun was training she should have taken the senseless grass medicine liquid, but she didn't take it. Instead, she gave it to Lin Yi, so there are some obstacles in her training now." The Grand Elder couldn't help but sigh. Tang Yun practices the emotionless art. She has emotions in her heart. It will affect her training. The training process will be abnormally painful. If she can't forget Lin Yi, the pain will continue. If she goes mad, she will lose all her power. If it's serious, her body will explode and she will die. "What? Explode and die?" Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan, and Lu Xinwen widened their eyes in shock. Of course. Going mad and dying from body explosion is a common thing in the training world. It wasn't that the Grand Elder lied to them. It really existed. It was just that the Grand Elder exaggerated Tang Yun's situation. Back then, the founder of the sect created the emotionless art under this kind of pain. She didn't explode and die. It was just that she grew up in pain. Her situation was slightly different from Tang Yun. She didn't get love. Tang Yun already got love. However, the two's training situation was similar. Tang Yun wouldn't explode and die. At most, it would be more painful and slower. Chapter 2707. He originally wanted to see Tang Yun, just a visit from an old friend, but he didn't expect that it would bring such a disastrous consequence to Tang Yun. Naturally, Kang Xiaobo wouldn't act rashly. Then, let's go back? I'm afraid that's the only way. Grand Elder shrugged helplessly. Then, can you let us see from afar? Xiaofan was unwilling. She had just recovered from her illness and Tang Yun left, so she didn't have a chance to spend time with Tang Yun. Do you think that with Tang Yun's current cultivation she won't be able to find you? Grand Elder asked. This. Xiaofan was stunned, but she understood. Yes, Tang Yun was no longer the Tang Yun of the past, but a powerful practitioner. The school bell's personal expert. Sai, how about this? If you want to see Tang Yun, it's not impossible, but you have to do as I say. Otherwise, if something happens to Tang Yun, you and I won't be happy. Grand Elder said. Alright, Grand Elder, please say it. Kang Xiaobo nodded and immediately agreed. You are Tang Yun's friends, so you are naturally familiar with her. She will definitely listen to what you say, so I hope that you can say more words to Tang Yun to make her give up on Lin Yi. Only then can she cultivate in peace. Grand Elder said, only when she gives up, can she cultivate in peace and won't go mad. This. Kang Xiaobo listened to Grand Elder's words and suddenly hesitated. You can't be delusional. Tang Yun can go back and reunite with Lin Yi one day, right? That's impossible. Grand Elder struck the iron while it was hot and said, let's not talk about Lin Yi forgetting Tang Yun. Tang Yun herself has also cultivated the Heartless Tactics. In the future, when the Heartless Tactics is completed, she will no longer have feelings. What you are doing is to help Tang Yun get rid of her heart demon as soon as possible, and step into Heaven Realm. Alright. However, we can only tell the truth. It's impossible to make things up. Kang Xiaobo hesitated for a moment, but still nodded in agreement. From his point of view, what the Grand Elder said was the truth, and she was definitely doing it for Tang Yun's sake. He couldn't harm Tang Yun. As for Lin Yi and Tang Yun, the Grand Elder had also said that it was impossible, so Kang Xiaobo didn't have to worry too much. I just want you to tell the truth. You don't have to make things up. You just have to make Tang Yun give up. You can decide how you want to say it, I don't need to teach you. Besides, I don't know much about you, the Grand Elder said. Okay. Grand Elder's words made Kang Xiaobo not doubt it. In fact, the Grand Elder did not lie to Kang Xiaobo. What she said was the truth. At the end of the day, it was for Tang Yun's own good. If that's the case, then come with me. The Grand Elder said faintly, I hope that for Tang Yun's cultivation you won't say anything inappropriate. Don't worry about that, we are not people who don't know what to do. Kang Xiaobo naturally didn't come here to think of a way to make Tang Yun go back. He only came to visit Tang Yun. Even Meng Yao and Yushu didn't want Tang Yun to come back. Otherwise they wouldn't have hidden it from Lin Yi. This matter had to be concealed. Otherwise to Lin Yi it would be harming Lin Yi. His current strength was not enough to fight against Xuegu. Tang Yun's cultivation was getting harder and harder. She wanted to cultivate quietly, but she couldn't forget Lin Yi. In her heart, she didn't want to forget about Lin Yi. She wanted to remember Lin Yi forever. Remember that afternoon under the tree, remember the stars in the night sky of West Star Mountain. These were the most beautiful and precious memories of her life. Even if she couldn't see Lin Yi again, she wanted to remember these sweetness, the sweetness that belonged only to her, because there was another person who would forget them forever. The Grand Elder also tried to persuade Tang Yun to take the senseless grass, but Tang Yun refused. This was also the reason why the Grand Elder asked Kang Xiaobo and the others to persuade Tang Yun. At this moment, Tang Yun was resting. A female disciple who served Tang Yun knocked on the door. Elder Tang, the Grand Elder said that a few of your old friends are here to visit. My old friends? Tang Yun paused. Could it be Meng Yao and Yushu? Thinking of this possibility, Tang Yun got excited. If they came, would Lin Yi come? Yes, a man and 2 women are waiting in the guest room. The Grand Elder wants you to go over, the female disciple said. Okay, I'll go now. Tang Yun said excitedly. A man and 2 women, it must be Lin Yi, Meng Yao and Yushu. Tang Yun quickly left the room and rushed to the guest room without waiting for the female disciple. This surprised the female disciple. In the Snow Valley, Tang Yun only did cultivation every day. She was a quiet person and didn't like to talk. Why was she so excited today? The beauty's personal expert 2717, however, this was Tang Yun's business. As a female disciple, she couldn't ask. She could only follow behind quietly. Tang Yun quickly arrived at the guest room. The Grand Elder and Elder Zhang were already waiting at the door. Seeing Tang Yun, the Grand Elder said faintly, Elder Tang, your old friends are inside. I won't disturb you anymore. The beauty's personal expert was first published on www.guli. CC mobile users can visit WAP. Guli. CC with that, she left the guest room with Elder Zhang. This surprised Tang Yun. Linny was here. Would she let her meet with Linny alone? When Tang Yun entered the guest room with doubt, her doubt was instantly solved. It wasn't Linny but Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen. Tang Yun instantly understood. No wonder the Grand Elder was so relaxed. If Linny was here, would she let her meet him? Tang Yun couldn't help but slap her forehead at the thought, smiling bitterly. She was too worried about Linny. Plus, Linny had Mengyao and Yushu to help him out. Why would he think of her? Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan, Xinwen, so it's you guys. However, Tang Yun was also very surprised to see them. She had been bored for a while. She didn't want to talk to anyone except for her adoptive parents and birth mother. She didn't have any common topics, other than asking about Shui Li's cultivation. There was nothing else to talk about. Yun, are you okay? Xiaofan was also excited when she saw Tang Yun. She ran over and held Tang Yun's hands with Lu Xinwen. Chapter 2708. First, Xiaofan and Xinwen miss you, so they wanted to see you. Xiaobo explained. Secondly, Mengyao and Yushu wanted us to come see you. They couldn't get in touch with you guys, so they wanted us to ask how you're doing. They're a little worried. Tang Yun's eyes flashed with a hint of melancholy. I miss you guys too. I miss Yao Yao and Shu. I miss Linny even more, but I know that Linny and I are destined not to be together in this life. How is he? Is he okay? Tang Yun couldn't wait to hear about Linny. Boss. He's fine. Kang Xiaobo didn't know what to say. What's his strength now? Right, I heard that the hidden House Yu and House Zhao sent out a few masters to look for Linny, but they didn't find Linny, right? Has this matter been resolved? Tang Yun was very worried about Lin Yi's safety. When she first came to the Ice Palace, she could still contact Mengyao occasionally, but the Grand Elder cut off her contact with the outside world, so she didn't know what was going on. Chapter 2718. School Beauty's personal expert. Although she knew that Linny was fine, she still felt uneasy. Hidden House Yu? Hidden House Zhao? Hidden House Yu? Kang Xiaobo smiled and shook his head. Boss is very strong now. He doesn't care about these families anymore. Now the Hidden House Han, House Pai and House Zhuang have all become his lackeys, and he can kill Sky-class early-phase masters in one hit. What? Linny can kill Sky-class early-phase masters in one hit? What's his strength now? He's already above the middle stage of Heaven stage? Tang Yun's eyes flashed with disbelief, but also with excitement. No, boss is only an Earth-class mid-phase peak, but he's very strong. He can kill Sky-class early-phase masters in one hit. As Kang Xiaobo spoke, he told Tang Yin everything Linny had been up to recently. Tang Yun, on the other hand, was listening with great interest. She would ask a few small questions from time to time. She heard that Linny was already so strong. It seemed that as long as Linny didn't provoke the ancient sects, then the hidden power wouldn't be able to bring any harm to Linny. Although the Great Elder had left, she was still a peak late-stage Heaven-class master. She could hear the conversation in the room from afar. When she heard that Linny was actually able to instantly kill a Heaven-class early-stage master with his Earth-class mid-stage peak strength, they were also very shocked. Wasn't Lin Yi's growth a little too fast? The Great Elder actually didn't pay much attention to Lin Yi, so she didn't know what happened during this period of time. Now that she heard Kang Xiaobo's words, she realized that Lin Yi was actually so strong. But the Grand Elder wasn't worried at all. After all, Lin Yi's level was too far below hers. She could easily kill a Sky-class early-phase master, and Lin Yi was only an Earth-class mid-phase. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't do anything. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't surpass the barrier brought by the level of strength. If that's the case, I can rest assured. Tang Yun heard Kang Xiaobo's words and nodded in relief. She nodded, gratified. Lin Yi was so strong that she didn't have to worry anymore. Right, Xiao Xiao told me to get Lin Yi a big wife. Who's his big wife now? Is it Yao Yao? That? Kang Xiaobo was also worried about how to persuade Tang Yun. Tang Yun asked this question, so Kang Xiaobo followed up. No, Lin Yi's big wife is Wang Xinyan. Wang Xinyan? Tang Yun was stunned. She had never heard of this name before. Where did this person come from? Yes, she is called Wang Xinyan. She is boss's university classmate and deskmate. It was confirmed through Yao Yao and the others. Currently, she is also living in boss's villa. I heard that she is sharing a room with boss. Kang Xiaobo said truthfully. He didn't want to agitate Tang Yun, but he remembered the Great Elder's orders and had no choice. They are already living together. Tang Yun heard this news and a desolate expression flashed across her face. Did he have someone else he liked? After all, she wasn't his first woman. However, Tang Yin felt relieved after that. It was fortunate that she wasn't. Otherwise, how would she be able to save Lin Yi? If something had happened between her and Lin Yi, would she still be able to stay here and train? Would the Shuegu use this as a condition to save Lin Yi? Obviously not. Although Tang Yin didn't know who Wang Xinyan was, she didn't know how Lin Yi met Wang Xinyan. How did he get to know Xinyan? He was someone that Mingyao and Yushu both approved of, so there had to be no problem with his character. This was Xiao Xiao's idea, right? I think she told you too? Seeing that Tang Yun was struggling, Kang Xiaobo quickly tried to persuade her. Yes, I know. It's fine. Lin Yi and I are not fated to be together. We won't be able to see each other again. As long as he is happy, it's fine. Tang Yun smiled and said, Yun, it's good that you understand this. Since you've chosen this place, then train hard. Xinwen also tried to persuade her. I understand. Don't worry, I'm not an impulsive and irrational person. I'm no longer the little girl that didn't know anything. Haha. Tang Yun thought back to the time when she was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't want her and threw her phone on the ground. She felt that she was really naive back then. Chapter 27:18. School Beauty's personal expert. The Grand Elder heard the conversation from afar, satisfied with Xiaobo and Xinwen's reply. Tang Yun's reply made her sigh in relief. It seemed like Tang Yun could stay here and train in peace from now on. She wouldn't have to worry about accidents anymore. Yun, why do I feel that your body is very cold? Is this the consequence of practicing heartless arts? At this moment, Xiaofan was no longer as happy as when they first met. After calming down, she realized that although Tang Yun was very warm towards them, there was an unnatural coldness emitting from her body. It made people not want to get close to her, as if she was a big block of ice. School Beauty's personal expert, first published on www.guli.cc. Mobile users visit wap.guli.cc. Yes, Xiaofan, you noticed? Tang Yun smiled helplessly. This is what heartless arts is like. So, when I practice it to the extreme, even if Lin Yi wants to be with me, he won't want to be with me anymore. There's an unnatural aura around me that makes people not want to get close to me. Chapter 27:09. No wonder Lin Yi dared to say that as long as he had one breath left, he could be healed. It seemed like he wasn't bluffing. Zhu Lao felt that even if he had one breath left, Lin Yi could still save him. At this moment he finally understood why Lin Yi, Wu Qintian, and Qin Yuqian broke through miraculously when they were about to be crippled. It was because of this. No wonder when Lin Yi was injured he was fine. Lin Yi could heal himself. Zhu Lao's mouth twitched as he recalled how Lin Yi pretended to be a pig to eat the tiger after he was injured to lure the enemies to his doorstep. This was clearly a trap. Lin Yi had probably healed long ago and was sitting at home pretending to be sick, waiting for the enemies to come looking for trouble. However, he misunderstood Lin Yi. Before Lin Yi discovered General Wei Wu's secret, he really did plan to run away with his whole family. I'm fine. I'm completely healed. Big brother, my meridians are healed and they're even thicker than before. It's more beneficial for cultivation. Zhu Lao looked at Zhu Lao's elder brother excitedly. Healed? That's great, that's great. Zhu Lao's elder brother let out a long breath. The Zhu brothers' parents passed away early, and the two brothers depended on each other. Although Zhu Lao didn't die, he couldn't cultivate anymore, and his lifespan would definitely decrease. Zhu Lao was older than him, but he had to watch his younger brother pass away first. He felt bad thinking about it, but now it was great. He didn't expect his decision to bring his younger brother such a great opportunity. Don't talk nonsense. Now use your own arts, I'm going to increase your strength. Lin Yi said faintly. Yes, boss. Zhu Lao didn't doubt it anymore. He was ready to follow Lin Yi wholeheartedly. With a boss like this protecting him, he wouldn't be afraid of anything in the future. He was like a cockroach that wouldn't die. When he was about to die, he would teleport back to the city and find Lin Yi to revive himself. Who could be more powerful than him? Zhu Lao's elder brother could feel his brother's happiness, but he didn't believe that Lin Yi wanted to increase his brother's strength. He didn't doubt that Lin Yi could heal him since there was Pai Zhihai's example. He was happy but not surprised, but increasing his strength was different. Lin, boss, aren't you going to test us? Zhu Lao's elder brother hesitated. It was too good to be true. Don't doubt the people you use, don't use the people you suspect. If you two are going to go against me, then I can easily take your lives. Lin Yi smiled. Although his tone was calm, it made the Zhu brothers shiver in fear. Yes, Lin Yi could even kill a sky-class master in one hit. Wouldn't it be a piece of cake for him to kill the two brothers? With that thought they were relieved. Lin Yi wasn't afraid of them betraying him at all. If they betrayed him he would just kill them. Don't worry, boss. I Zhu swear that we two brothers will follow your lead from now on. Zhu Lao quickly said. Haha, I'll see the result, Lin Yi said indifferently. However, the more indifferent Lin Yi was, the more the Zhu brothers respected him. If it was Zhao Qibing, he would be happy to put on a fake act and say some touching words before promising some benefits. As he spoke, Zhu Lao channeled his practitioner's arts and was shocked to find that his strength was increasing rapidly. Pure qi flowed into his body from his meridians and circulated in his body as he channeled his practitioner's arts, turning it into his own. Elder Zhu was shocked. Before this, he had never heard of anyone increasing strength like this. Wasn't this a human cauldron? But it was different from a human cauldron. A human cauldron usually sacrificed their own strength to help others, but Lin Yi wasn't stupid enough to give his strength to him. The only possibility was that Lin Yi wouldn't lose his strength, but he could increase the strength of others. How terrifying was that? Zhu Lao had just recovered from his injuries and didn't have much qi in his body. But with Lin Yi helping him level up, he became a golden class master in the blink of an eye. He was only one step away from mystic class. Fast, it was simply too fast. Zhu Lao was channeling his practitioner's arts so Elder Zhu could see his strength. Elder Zhu's eyes widened as he looked at Zhu Lao's sudden increase in strength. He felt gratified and a bit envious at the same time. But Lin Yi had said that he was an Earth-class master, and he couldn't increase the strength of an Earth-class master. So Elder Zhu could only pray that Lin Yi would step into Sky class as soon as possible and increase his strength. In one morning, Zhu Lao went from a useless person to a mystic late-phase peak. Lin Yi gave him a small qi-gathering pill, and under Elder Zhu and Lin Yi's protection, he swallowed it and became an Earth-class master. Boss, Zhu Lao was so excited that he couldn't speak. Elder Zhu told him that Lin Yi could not only heal but also increase his strength, but he was still skeptical. Only after experiencing it would he know how magical it was. He didn't even know how to thank Lin Yi. Alright, you've been out for a long time. Take these 2 potions back with you. As for this pill, take it in advance. Lin Yi handed a pill and 2 packets of sealed medicine to Boss Zhu. This was what he'd just concocted. Okay, thank you, boss. Elder Zhu took the things from Lin Yi and said excitedly. And the rest is up to you guys, but if you follow Shu's instructions there shouldn't be a problem, Lin Yi said. Normal people wouldn't be able to recognize the potions I make, not even Zhao Yaowang. Of course we trust you. The 2 brothers trusted Lin Yi without any reservations. Lin Yi drove to school while the Zhu brothers went back to the hidden house. The Zhu brothers had been in high spirits a moment ago, but now they were back to their old self. His disguise was quite good, and if they didn't check his meridians, no one would be able to tell that his injuries had healed and his strength had increased. Of course, Yaowang wouldn't check his meridians if he had nothing better to do. Elder Zhu and Zhu Lao quietly returned to the hidden Zhao house while Elder Zhu rushed to see the old head of House Zhao. Chapter 27:10. Lu Xinwen had never been in a relationship before. With her domineering personality, it was rare for her to find a suitable boyfriend. She didn't know the taste of love. Elder Tang, you should go train too. The Grand Elder appeared in the guest room and said to Tang Yun. He then looked at Kong Xiaobo and the others. I'm sorry, but Elder Tang's reception time is up. She needs to train now. Please stay here for now. Tang Yun wanted to spend more time with Kong Xiaobo, but she couldn't ignore the Grand Elder's words. My mom is here too. You guys are familiar with her. I'll let her talk to you guys? My auntie is here too? That's fine too. Lu Xinwen nodded. They couldn't disturb Tang Yun's training. Okay, I'll go first. Tang Yun stood up apologetically. I'll let my mom walk around the valley. The scenery here is very beautiful. Okay, Yun, you can go now, Xiaofan said. The Grand Elder left with Tang Yun. She'd achieved her goal, and naturally didn't want Xiaobo and the others to talk to Tang Yun any longer. Talking too much would cause Tang Yun to miss Lin Yi again. What would she do? So, the training time was just an excuse. The Grand Elder's real goal was to stop Tang Yun from talking to them. Not long after the Grand Elder and Tang Yun left, Tang Yun's foster mother, Wang Yujia, came to the guest room. She was a ruthless person in the snowy valley. Even the Grand Elder didn't dare to offend her. Out of sight, out of mind, out of mind. The Grand Elder couldn't do anything to someone like Tang Yun. He couldn't beat or scold her, but he couldn't chase her away. Tang Yun's personality was gentle and gentle. The Grand Elder could control her, but Tang Yun's mother was a stubborn woman. She only cared about her family. She would take whatever she saw in the valley. She would order everyone around as if the valley was her own home. What made the Grand Elder helpless was that Tang Yun's catchphrase was, I'm here with Lin Yi. I'm taking Tang Yun away. I'll ask my daughter Bing Tang to come and tear down your snow valley. As a result, the Grand Elder's strategy for dealing with people like this was to coax her. As long as Tang Yun focused on her training and Mrs. Tang didn't cause any trouble, then they'd let her do as she pleased. The snowy valley had the money and the goods, so it didn't matter if they gave her some. As for ordering others to do things for her, it didn't matter. Tang Yun was an elder of the Snow Valley, and the mother of an elder naturally had such power. It was just that the Snow Valley didn't have such a situation in the past, and the parents of those elders were all dead. Moreover, Mrs. Tang's other identity was the birth mother of Ice Palace's palace master Bing Tang. With such a powerful identity, even the Grand Elder wouldn't dare to do anything to her. Hence, Mrs. Tang became the Queen of Snow Valley. The disciples of the Snow Valley now all knew that there was a person in the Snow Valley who was even more powerful than the Grand Elder. If they encountered him, they must not provoke him or else they would die very very miserably. Xiaobo, Xiaofan, Xinwen, you're here. Tang Yun's mother was happy to see them. Why isn't Lin Yi here? Boss he. Andy, you know that boss drank the senseless grass. It's Tang Yun's idea. We can't do it on our own. Kang Xiaobo said awkwardly. Oh, I know, but when he's strong enough he can come and take us away or he can take over the Snow Valley. Alright, I also have a daughter who can marry him. When the time comes, the Ice Palace and Snow Valley will all be his, and this matter will be resolved. Mrs. Tang said. Now, only Tang Yun's mother dared to say such outrageous things. The disciples of Snow Valley didn't dare to refute her. Everyone was used to it. Even the Grand Elder didn't dare to mess with her. Who were these disciples? That's true. Kang Xiaobo wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and nodded. Tang Yun's mother was amazing. She had another daughter who was going to marry Lin Yi? Right? Alright, I've gotten a lot of treasures. Bring them back for Lin Yi. Let him eat them and increase his strength. I'll give him something good. Tang Yun's mother said. You guys can walk around too. If you see something good, bring it back. Don't be shy. Kang Xiaobo was speechless. Tang Yun's mother was so amazing. Although Kang Xiaobo knew that Tang Yun's mother was like this, he didn't like it. But today he realized that it was a good thing. Let's go. I'll bring you around. Tang Yun's mother said. She brought Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan, and Lu Xinwen out of the guest room to tour Snow Valley. This was the first time the three of them entered Snow Valley. They couldn't help but admire the scenery. It was really beautiful. It was much more beautiful than those ski resorts. It was a natural scenery. There were many disciples busy in the valley. But when they saw Tang Yun's mother, they avoided her. You bring us some fruits and delicious food. Tang Yun's mother pointed at a patrolling disciple. Yes, Mrs. Tang. The patrolling disciple quickly nodded and left. He then came back with a fruit platter and a few cups of freshly squeezed juice. Kang Xiaobo and the others were dumbfounded. Tang Yun's mother took the fruit platter and passed it to them. Eat it. The fruits here are all natural and pollution-free. It's very delicious. Bring back a few boxes when you leave. We can have as many as you want. If it's not enough, we can pick it now. Okay. Kang Xiaobo said weakly. He took 2 fruits and passed them to Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen. He also took one for himself. The fruits here were really delicious. Kang Xiaobo ate one and didn't want to put it down again. After eating the fruits, Tang Yun's mother brought Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan, and Lu Xinwen to the herb garden. Tang Yun's mother was here for her weekly plundering. Today was the day, so Tang Yun's mother brought the 3 of them here. Coincidentally, a few disciples of the Snow Valley were walking towards them. They were pushing a small cart, which was filled with fresh medicinal herbs that had just been picked from the Snow Valley's herb garden. You stop right there. Tang Yun's mother put her hands on her waist and blocked the disciples. Madam Tang? The Snow Valley disciples hurriedly asked in fear and trepidation, What's the matter? Chapter 27:11. Mrs. Tang, you used to come early in the morning but you didn't come today. We can't just wait for you here and not work, right? The disciple wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said with a smile. Oh, now that you mention it, from now on, you're not allowed to work if I'm not here. I'll tell my daughters to kill anyone who dares to sneak around. Mrs. Tang humphed. Oh, yes. The disciple smiled bitterly and nodded, not daring to refute. Even the Grand Elder didn't want to go against Mrs. Tang, so what were they to him? Let me take a look. What are these? Mrs. Tang asked as she pointed at the treasures in the cart. Mrs. Tang, there are 2 ripe ice spirit holy fruits, 2 ripe heavenly barrier-breaking fruits, and 5 ripe 500-year-old lingji. The disciple didn't dare to hide anything and reported to Mrs. Tang in one breath. Ice spirit fruit? Isn't that what you used to heal Lin Yi's wounds? This is good, I'll take it. Give me both of them. Mrs. Tang said arrogantly. Oh. Mrs. Tang, there's only one of them, it's for another ancient sect and it's already been reserved. If you take both of them, it'll be hard for us to explain ourselves. How about you just take one? The disciple said with a sad face. Are you trying to bargain with me? I don't think you know how good I am. Mrs. Tang glared at him. Let me tell you, I came to this broken snow valley to plunder things. Do you think I wanted to come here? I'm selling barbecue and I'm making money. The disciple was speechless, but he didn't dare to refute. Mrs. Tang, how about I give you another ripe ice spirit fruit next time? Take a look at this Tianyuan barrier-breaking fruit. This is also a good thing. It's useful for powerhouses below the heaven rank. As long as you're not at the peak of the late earth rank, as long as you reach the great perfection of every minor rank, you'll be able to smoothly break through the barrier after eating the sky-breaking fruit. There are no side effects, no poison, and no pain. Oh? Alright, since you're so sincere, leave these 2 barrier-breaking fruits to me. You can take one of the ice spirit fruits and the rest of the items too. Give me a little of everything. Mrs. Tang waved her hand and said, Can you take one? 2 is too much, this is as precious as the ice spirit holy fruit. The disciple said with a bitter face. Forget it. So be it. I won't make things difficult for you. Although Mother Tang was tyrannical and liked to take advantage of others, she also knew when to stop. Although her 2 daughters were very powerful and allowed her to do as she pleased in Snow Valley, she also knew that when things reached an extreme, they would go in the opposite direction. Therefore, every time she plundered something, she would stop at a level that Snow Valley could bear. Yes. The disciple nodded and gave Mrs. Tang some of the good stuff in the carriage, including an ice spirit holy fruit, a sky origin barrier-breaking fruit, and a few other natural treasures. Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan, and Xinwen were all stunned. If they didn't know that there was a Grand Elder, they would have thought that Mrs. Tang was the Grand Elder instead. She was the one in charge of the Snow Valley. Xiaobo, when you guys go back, bring these to Lin Yi. I still have some natural treasures in my room, bring them back for him as well. Mrs. Tang said. Aren't we going to leave some for Tang Yun? Kang Xiaobo asked. No need. Whatever she needs, she can just ask the Grand Elder for it. Mrs. Tang said. Is that so? All right. Kang Xiaobo was shocked by Mrs. Tang. This Snow Valley was no different from his own home. As the group toured the Snow Valley, Tang Yun was sitting cross-legged in her room, but she couldn't calm herself down to train. Although she agreed to find a wife for Lin Yi, she still felt uncomfortable when she heard that Lin Yi had found a wife. Especially when the wife wasn't Meng Yao. If it was Meng Yao, Tang Yun wouldn't have any special feelings. After all, she had seen through Meng Yao and Yushu's intentions before she left. This was also the reason why Tang Yun entrusted Lin Yi to Meng Yao and Yushu. But now it was a different person. It was someone called Wang Xinyan. Tang Yun didn't have much of an impression of this person. Although the name sounded familiar, she didn't remember meeting her before. She didn't know what kind of person she was. Whatever, as long as Lin Yi liked her, it was fine. Yao Yao and Yushu were the ones who helped her check. She shouldn't be the type of girl with a bad character. Tang Yun, how is it? Have you given up now? The Grand Elder's voice suddenly sounded out, giving Tang Yun a big fright. Tang Yun was thinking about Lin Yi and Wang Xinyan. She didn't even know when the Grand Elder entered the room. She quickly adjusted her emotions and raised her head to look at the Grand Elder. Grand Elder, actually, I didn't have any hope. I've been like this ever since I gave Lin Yi the senseless grass. Otherwise, I wouldn't have given it to him. As for whether or not I want to give up, I just want to remember this memory, I don't want to forget it. The Grand Elder frowned after hearing Tang Yun's words. She couldn't understand. If there's no hope, why do you want to remember this memory? Isn't it better to forget it? You're just adding to the pain. Aren't you just looking for trouble? Tang Yun smiled bitterly and didn't explain. The Grand Elder, who had no experience in love, couldn't understand this kind of unforgettable love between lovers. She also couldn't understand this kind of action, knowing the pain but wanting to remember it, so Tang Yun couldn't explain anything to her. The Grand Elder grew up in the Snow Valley. She didn't know what love was, so it was normal that she didn't understand Tang Yun. Coincidentally, this time your 3 old friends came here. I'll ask them to go back and get some of Lin Yi's blood. How about it? After you take the senseless grass, you can completely cultivate in peace, the Grand Elder said. I don't want it, Tang Yun shook her head. Her voice wasn't loud, but her tone was incomparably firm. Why? So that when you cultivate there won't be any pain? The Grand Elder was very puzzled. This is my own business. I hope the Grand Elder won't interfere. Tang Yun's personality was very stubborn. Once she made up her mind, it was hard to change her mind. Even the Grand Elder couldn't do it. Chapter 27:12. The Grand Elder stood up and left. Tang Yun closed her eyes and fell into a deep recollection of the past. In the next 2 days, Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan, and Lu Xinwen stayed with Mrs. Tang. After Tang Yun left, she didn't appear again. Although the valley was beautiful and fun, they weren't interested. Without Tang Yun, what was the point of staying here? However, they understood that although Mrs. Tang was unrestrained here, it was built on the premise that Tang Yun was obedient and cultivating here. Otherwise, why would the valley allow Mrs. Tang to do that? So, even if Tang Yun couldn't accompany them, Kang Xiaobo didn't think much of it. Today was their 3rd day in the valley and Kang Xiaobo was ready to leave. "Andy, we're leaving today. Sorry for the trouble we've caused these few days," Kang Xiaobo said. "Ah, you're leaving now? You're not staying for a few more days?" Mrs. Tang paused and was a bit reluctant. "What trouble? It's no trouble at all. If you don't come, it's boring for me to be alone. If you come, I can chat with you." Actually, although Mrs. Tang was quite domineering in the valley, she was also very lonely. Other than her husband Tang Juqing and Tang Yun's birth mother Xiao Ming, the only person she talked to every day was her adopted daughter Tang Yun. She couldn't see Tang Yun often. There were many other people from the Snow Valley who wanted to talk to her. However, these people only answered her questions one by one. They told her everything they knew, but this was basically a question and answer. It was completely different from chatting. "Auntie, I still have things to do at the company, so I can't stay for long. Plus, if I stay here for too long, Boss Linny might be suspicious, so I think I should go back earlier." Kang Xiaobo understood Mrs. Tang, but since Tang Yun wasn't going to appear, they didn't have the mood to play anymore. "Alright, come again when you have time." Mrs. Tang sighed helplessly. And so, Kang Xiaobo, Xiaofan, and Lu Xinwen began their journey back, ending their trip to the valley. The Grand Elder didn't stop them from taking many treasures with them. To her, these things were all valuable, only Tang Yun was priceless. Tang Yun was her and Sydney's hope to step into the heavenly path. Otherwise, they would only be able to stay at the peak late phase of heaven class for the rest of their lives. Now that they had this opportunity, they might regret it for the rest of their lives. Kang Xiaobo brought Xiaofan and Lu Xinwen back to Songshan. But that night, Kang Xiaobo drove again and brought a car to Lin Yi's villa in Shueshang district. When Lin Yi saw Kang Xiaobo at the door, he was surprised. "Xiaobo, why are you here?" "Boss, I went to buy the herbs. This time, not only did I buy the herbs that Shu needed, I also brought back some treasures that are useful to you." Kang Xiaobo pointed at the trunk of his car. "Oh, it seems like you came back with a lot of things." Lin Yi didn't think that Kang Xiaobo's trip would be so smooth. When he said that he was going to buy the herbs for Yushu, Lin Yi didn't have much hope. After all, the herbs that Yushu needed were extremely precious. It wasn't something that could be easily bought. But now, it seemed like Kang Xiaobo really got it easily. "Did you buy the herbs I needed?" Yushu said as she winked at Kang Xiaobo, signaling him to stop talking. After all, buying the herbs for her was just an excuse. Whether or not Kang Xiaobo could buy them was another matter. Yushu wanted Kang Xiaobo to stop talking nonsense. She took out a random herb from the trunk and said that it was what she needed. I got it. Kang Xiaobo nodded naturally and helped Yushu open the trunk. Yushu opened the box in Kang Xiaobo's trunk and saw the ice spirit fruit inside. She was about to scream, wasn't this the ice spirit fruit? How did he get it? However, she suddenly had an idea and said, "I really bought it. This is the ice spirit fruit. I didn't think that you, Kang Xiaobo, are so reliable." Haha, of course. Kang Xiaobo relaxed. It seemed that the lie was over. Ice spirit fruit? What is that? Lin Yi paused. He had heard of the fire spirit fruit before, but this was the first time he heard of the ice spirit fruit. He didn't know what happened in the snowy valley. He didn't have any memories of this period, so he didn't know what the ice spirit fruit was. Is it the opposite of the fire spirit fruit? Yeah, the fire spirit's fruit is used to cure the yin's qi deviation, and the ice spirit's fruit is used to cure the fire's qi deviation, the fire poison. Yushu nodded. This is what Shu wants? Oh, I see. Lin Yi nodded. He naturally didn't know how precious the ice spirit fruit was, so he didn't think too much about it. The fire spirit fruit was precious, but it didn't mean that the ice spirit fruit was precious as well. Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. But Mengya was really shocked. When they went to the snowy valley, they had to go through a lot of trouble to get an ice spirit fruit. The snowy valley gave them a sky-high price, and they didn't have the money to pay for it. In the end, Tang Yun had to stay in the snowy valley to train in exchange for the ice spirit fruit. But now Kang Xiaobo just casually brought one back? Tang Yun's position in the snowy valley was already this high? Meng Yao was happy for Tang Yun, but at the same time she felt sad. Although Tang Yun's position had risen, she probably wouldn't be as happy as before. Lin Yi picked up the ice spirit fruit, and as expected, a wave of cold air came from the fruit, making people feel comfortable. It was the best medicine to cure the fire poison. Shu, keep this well. Since this is the medicine for you, don't lose it. Lin Yi passed the fruit to Yushu. Yes, Shu will keep it well. Yushu nodded. Kang Xiaobo took out the treasures he brought from the snowy valley. He took out the top one and said, "Boss, this is also a good thing. It's called the Sky Barrier Breaking Fruit. After eating it, it can help practitioners below Sky Class to break through the barrier smoothly. There's no pain or side effects. But it can't be used to break through to Sky Class." Chapter 27:13. Hehe, I should thank Wang Xinyan. Her father is a medicine merchant and she knows a lot of people. Kang Xiaobo gave all the credit to Wang Xinyan. Wang Xinyan stood on the side, a little embarrassed. This had nothing to do with her, but in the end Lin Yi liked her even more. This made Wang Xinyan both happy and conflicted. She didn't know how to face the pressure and conflict from the Sky Elixir sect in the future. "Xinyan, I didn't expect Uncle Wang to have such powerful connections." Lin Yi sighed. This Sky Barrier Breaking Fruit is really something good. Lin Yi had been stuck at the barrier of breaking through to the late phase of Earth Class for a while, always lacking an opportunity to do so. Last time when he fought with Xiao Yi, Boss Bai ended the battle before Lin Yi could do much, but Lin Yi didn't regret it. It was too dangerous last time, and he couldn't risk his life for an opportunity to break through. During this time Lin Yi had been holding Wang Xinyan every day, and the speed of his training had been decreasing. This was because the pure qi in his body was full, reaching a peak. If he didn't break through, he wouldn't be able to advance any further. Lin Yi had been worrying about how to find this opportunity, but he didn't expect Kang Xiaobo to bring back such a good thing, the Sky Barrier Breaking Fruit. Lin Yi had heard a lot about these miraculous treasures. Using medicinal pills to increase strength and break through barriers was one thing, but using treasures could also increase strength and break through barriers. This was also the reason why the disciples of the noble houses and ancient sects could train so quickly. With such good resources, how could they not level up quickly? This Sky Barrier Breaking Fruit was actually one of these treasures, a special product of the Snow Valley. Although Lin Yi's guess was correct, not all disciples of the ancient sects and noble houses could use these treasures. The production of this Sky Barrier Breaking Fruit wasn't high, and there weren't many who could use it. Lin Yi did this because of Mother Tang. If not for Mother Tang, Lin Yi would not have been able to obtain this item from Shuigu. "Boss, you've been stuck at Earth Class mid-peak for a long time, haven't you? Can you break through this time?" Kang Xiaobo was also very excited. If Lin Yi could instantly kill a Heaven rank early stage expert when he was at the peak of mid-Earth rank, then wouldn't he be able to instantly kill a Heaven rank mid-stage expert when he reached late Earth rank? He was looking forward to it. The stronger Lin Yi was, the more at ease they, as his underlings, would be. Only then would they not be bullied by others. "Yes, I will take it tonight." Lin Yi thought for a while and decided to take the Sky Barrier Breaking Fruit now. After all, this Sky Barrier Breaking Fruit was only effective for those below Heaven rank, and it couldn't be used to break through to Heaven rank. In other words, Lin Yi would only be able to break through to Earth Class late stage and peak late stage. There were only 2 levels left, and Lin Yi wouldn't be of much use if he stayed. The time of the Sky Elixir School's trial was getting closer and closer. If Lin Yi wanted to participate in the trial with a stronger strength, then the only way was to take the Sky Barrier Breaking Fruit and enter the trial with Earth Class late stage strength. As for the barrier between Earth Class late stage and peak late stage, it would be better to look for other opportunities. It was better than being stuck like this. As for the other treasures, some are for consumption, some are for alchemy, but they aren't as precious as these. "Boss, you can use them as you see fit. I don't even know what they are for," Kang Xiaobo said, pointing at the trunk of the car. These things were all given to him by Mrs. Tang, and she didn't explain many of them to him. Of course, Mrs. Tang didn't even know what they were for. She just took whatever she saw. As for what they were called and what they were for, she wasn't a cultivator, nor was she an alchemist. Even if the disciples told her, she wouldn't be able to tell or remember them. Okay. Lin Yi looked at the other treasures in the car. There were even ingredients for Ice Heart Jade Heart Pill. This surprised Lin Yi. Who did this Kang Xiaobo buy these ingredients from? The more she looked at it, the more she felt that he had ransacked the warehouse of a large ancient sect or the Cultivator Trading Association. Otherwise these things were too precious. How could he buy them so easily with money? And he bought so many of them at once? If it weren't for the fact that Lin Yi knew that Kang Xiaobo wasn't a cultivator and had no strength, he would have thought so. But now Lin Yi knew that he was thinking too much. If Kang Xiaobo really went to rob, he probably wouldn't be able to come back. Of course, this was because Lin Yi ignored Mrs. Tang's existence. In fact, this could also be considered as Kang Xiaobo robbing the ancient sect, Shuegu. It was just that Mrs. Tang was an accomplice, and it was a brazen robbery. Shuegu didn't dare to say anything. Shield bro, hurry up and eat the sky barrier breaking fruit, Yushu said to Lin Yi. Oh? Why do you want me to leave? Lin Yi paused and looked at Yushu. No, it's just that Sinyansis asked Fun to send a message to his father, and his father replied and asked Kang Xiaobo to bring it back. It's a bit private, it's not good for you to watch, Yushu said. Oh okay, I'll go then. Lin Yi nodded, not suspecting anything. Although he wondered why Sinyan didn't call him directly, he couldn't eavesdrop since Yushu said so. Lin Yi took the sky barrier breaking fruit and entered the room. Only Mengyao, Yushu, Sinyan and Kang Xiaobo were left outside the villa. How is Yun Yun sis? Did you tell her about Tang Yuqi? Mengyao lowered her voice and asked anxiously. Sis-in-law Tang Yun is pretty good. These treasures are all given to me by Mrs. Tang. She's very powerful in Shuegu and she wants half of the good stuff in front of her. Kang Xiaobo said, and after we went, Kang Xiaobo told the three about the conversation with the Grand Elder and what he said to Tang Yun. At the end he said, because of the time constraint, I didn't have time to tell you about Tang Yuqi, but sis-in-law Tang Yun promised that she'll call you guys in a few days. Okay. Mengyao nodded. From Xiaobo's words, she could imagine how short the time he'd spent with Tang Yun in the snowy valley was. The Grand Elder had interfered, and there were a lot of things they couldn't talk about. Chapter 27:14. It's okay, it's not your fault. You've already gained a lot from this trip, especially the sky barrier breaking fruit you brought back for Lin Yi. It was very timely. Lin Yi hasn't broken through the barrier for a while now, and with this fruit it'll be much easier, Mengyao said. I thank you on his behalf. What are you thanking me for? This is mainly because of Mrs. Tang and sis-in-law Tang Yun's hard work. I'm just a transport worker, Kang Xiaobo smiled. Yeah. Mengyao sighed. In the past she didn't like Tang Yun, thinking that Tang Yun stole her personal follower, but now she missed the days when Tang Yun was around. She thought that if Tang Yun could come back, then they'd be able to get along very well. Alright, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first, I still have things to do at the company tomorrow, Kang Xiaobo said. I'll go say hi to boss. No need, he went to eat the sky barrier breaking fruit, right? Mengyao said. Alright, I'll leave then. Kang Xiaobo and Lin Yi were very familiar now, so he didn't bother with pleasantries. He had to rush back to Songshan tonight and he still had to go to work tomorrow. He had been away from the company for a long time, and he had a lot of things to do. It would be very difficult for him to manage the company alone. Lin Yi, on the other hand, carried the treasures back to his room. He really didn't eavesdrop on the conversation between Kang Xiaobo and the others outside. Since Shu asked him to leave, she must be avoiding him, and it would be a bit of a pervert for him to eavesdrop. Lin Yi didn't eat the sky barrier breaking fruit immediately, but instead he flipped through Zhang Liju's notes. In the notes, Zhang Liju had recorded a lot of treasures, and Lin Yi decided to see if there was an introduction to this item. Of course, Lin Yi wasn't afraid that Kang Xiaobo would lie to him, but he was afraid that there would be a requirement before using it. As expected, Lin Yi found the sky barrier breaking fruit in the latter half of the notes, the sky barrier breaking fruit. This treasure had existed since ancient times, and was also known as the little sky barrier fruit. The sky barrier fruit was a treasure that could help one break through to sky class, but it was too rare and it couldn't be planted artificially, so it was basically extinct 1,000 years ago. As the name suggested, the sky splitter fruit was a fruit that could help an earth class late phase peak break through to sky class. It didn't have the same side effects as the chi gathering pill. In fact, if a person who had taken the chi gathering pill took another sky splitter fruit, they would be able to overcome the side effects of the chi gathering pill. Of course, this was just Zhang Liju's guess. He had never seen the sky barrier fruit in his life, and it had already been replaced by the chi gathering pill. The side effects of the chi gathering pill weren't that obvious, so he didn't have to spend too much time looking for it. As for the little sky barrier fruit, it was just a common name, and it didn't have any effect on breaking through to sky class. It was only useful for those below sky class. The sky barrier fruit, on the other hand, was useful for breaking through to sky class. As for the sky barrier breaking fruit, it didn't have any requirements, and just like Kang Xiaobo said, there were no side effects, and after eating it, one could easily break through the barrier. What a magical fruit. Lin Yi sighed as he looked at the introduction. He didn't think that he would be this lucky. After confirming that there were no side effects, Lin Yi put the sky barrier breaking fruit in his mouth. A sweet taste seeped into his meridians from Lin Yi's mouth, giving him an indescribable feeling of comfort. Lin Yi didn't think that this sky barrier breaking fruit would be this delicious. It was like a top quality fruit, much better than the chi gathering pill he had eaten before. If this was a fruit, it would definitely attract a buying frenzy, but the quantity meant that the price wouldn't be cheap, let alone normal people. Even rich people wouldn't be able to afford it. This sweet and refreshing feeling circulated in Lin Yi's meridians, making Lin Yi click his tongue in wonder. The only thing that could still leave a fragrance in one's body after eating a fruit, was this the sky barrier breaking fruit? About 20 minutes later, the sweet taste gradually dissipated into Lin Yi's body, and Lin Yi was surprised to find that he was now an Earth-class late-phase master, and during the breakthrough process, Lin Yi didn't even feel the slightest bit of pain. This didn't feel like a breakthrough at all, it felt like a kind of enjoyment. It was like Lin Yi had eaten a delicious fruit and after eating it he had broken through. This kind of magical feeling made Lin Yi feel incredulous and he couldn't help but sigh. Indeed, in this world there were some miraculous treasures that couldn't be judged with common sense. His strength that hadn't been able to break through for a long time had broken through so easily. This was the smoothest and easiest breakthrough he'd ever had, much easier than the first time he'd entered the jade space. If only he had another sky barrier breaking fruit, then breaking through to Earth-class late-phase peak wouldn't be a problem at all. With Xinyan and the jade space, Lin Yi could easily break through the barrier to Earth-class late-phase peak, but the sky barrier breaking fruit wasn't that easy to find. Lin Yi didn't even need to ask to know that Kang Xiaobo wouldn't have a second one. After Kang Xiaobo left, Mengyao, Yushu and Xinyan returned to the living room. They thought that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to come out after entering the room, and they spent the whole night trying to find a way to break through. They didn't think that Lin Yi would come out of the room. Lin Yi, why did you come out? Mengyao blinked. Shield bro, you broke through? Yushu knew Lin Yi, and seeing Lin Yi walk out of the room looking refreshed, she knew that Lin Yi must have broken through the barrier. Xinyan raised her head, pleasantly surprised, and looked at Lin Yi. These few days, Xinyan could clearly feel that Lin Yi didn't absorb much of her fragrance when he was practicing. Most of the time she found that Lin Yi was just hugging her. This made Xinyan shy and happy at the same time, but she didn't know what to do. She hoped that Lin Yi could break through as soon as possible, so that he'd have more strength to fight against the Sky Elixir sect. If Lin Yi really did have the strength to fight against the Sky Elixir sect before he graduated, then all of Xinyan's worries would be solved. Lin Yi, you really broke through? Xinyan asked. Yeah, I didn't think that Xiaobo's Sky Yuan barrier breaking fruit would be such a good thing. After eating it, I broke through the barrier easily without any pain. Lin Yi said in surprise. That's right. Chapter 27:15. You can do it again? Lin Yi paused, but it's only useful for people below Sky class, it's useless for people above Sky class, so I can only use it one more time. Oh, I mean ask Xinyan's sis dad to buy one more. Yushu changed her words. Yushu changed her words. She was thinking that when Tang Yun called in a few days, she would tell Tang Yun to ask for another one from the Snowy Valley. And let me see if it works, Wang Xinyan quickly said. Wang Xinyan quickly said. Tang Yun's effort was taken by her, and this made her blush. She wasn't a greedy person and she didn't want Tang Yun's gratitude to be transferred to her. That would make her feel like she owed him. Originally, she already felt guilty for replacing Tang Yun as Lin Yi's wife, and now she took Tang Yun's credit. She would feel uneasy. Although Wang Xinyan didn't promise anything, she slept on the same bed with Lin Yi every day. Who would believe that she wasn't Lin Yi's girlfriend? Alright, it's fine if it's expensive, Lin Yi said. Alright, Shield bro, you should tell us about your trip to the ancient tomb, right? I love listening to your stories. Yushu changed the topic, not wanting to talk too much about Kang Xiaobo's trip. Oh, the ancient tomb. Great, this trip to the ancient tomb has really yielded a lot. Lin Yi nodded, not suspecting anything. He just came back from the tomb today and he didn't go to school. Mengyao, Yushu and Xinyan came back at night, and before Lin Yi could talk to them, Kang Xiaobo came. So Lin Yi sat down and told them about the tomb trip. It was a scary experience, and Mengyao broke out in cold sweat, especially when she heard that Xiaoka was missing. Her face turned pale. But when they heard that Xiaoka found a trap, they let out a breath of relief. Yushu clicked her tongue in wonder. Shield bro, this Yu Xiaoka is pretty strong, no wonder she's a master from the Steel sect. If it weren't for her, you and Teacher Bai wouldn't have gotten anything from the tomb. Yeah, Yu Xiaoka is a little greedy, but it's not her shortcoming. She didn't use all the money she took on herself. She used it all on the children in the orphanage. Linny nodded. Yu Xiaoka is a little greedy, but it's not her fault. This was also the reason why Linny had been helping Xiaoka. Otherwise, if Xiaoka was a greedy girl, Linny wouldn't have helped her for free, and he wouldn't have fallen for her. Then do you like her? Yushu asked suddenly. Linny smiled bitterly. He really didn't know how to answer that question, but after thinking about it, he admitted it and nodded. I kind of like it. Lin Yi's answer wasn't out of Meng Yao and the others' expectations. After all, if Linny didn't like Xiaoka, he wouldn't be helping her like this. Xiaoka isn't a bad person, but it's not practical for you to bring her home. She can't leave the orphanage, Meng Yao said after some thought. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Linny waved his hand. I brought this treasure back from the tomb, you guys can test it too. See what kind of body you have, and I'll help you guys keep an eye out for the practitioner's arts. Sure. Meng Yao had been wanting to become a practitioner for a long time. She realized that Lin Yi couldn't protect her forever. Lin Yi had his own things to do, and even if they stayed under the same roof for the rest of their lives, he still had to go out and do things. Meng Yao had to be able to protect herself so that Lin Yi could leave with peace of mind. Most importantly, Meng Yao envied those sky-class practitioners like Bing Tang and Sydney. Their looks could slow down the aging process, and Meng Yao didn't want to become an old woman in the future. That way she wouldn't fit in with Lin Yi. Whether it was Tang Yin or Xiao Xiao, they would always be young, forever 20 years old. She didn't want to lose out to them, and so she was very passionate about training. This test is very easy, you just need to put your hand on it and activate your practitioner's arts. You guys don't have practitioner's arts? Lin Yi paused, suddenly thinking of a serious problem. Back in the tomb, Lin Yi didn't read the records in detail. It was Boss Bai who told Lin Yi what to do after reading it, and so Lin Yi didn't know how to test Meng Yao and the others. You can't test without practitioner's arts? Then this thing. What does it do? Meng Yao was speechless. Why did this treasure that Lin Yi brought back look like a piece of trash? Let me ask. Lin Yi took out his phone and dialed Boss Bai's number. What's up, Lily? Boss Bai picked up the phone quickly. Master Bai, it's like this. I'm going to use that bead to test Meng Yao and the others' physique, but they don't have practitioner's arts. How are we supposed to test them? Lin Yi asked. Oh, you can test them without using the practitioner's arts, but it can only test false and true attributes, not virtual attributes. Boss Bai explained, whether it is a false attribute or a real attribute, they are all innate in the body so they can be tested directly. However, the virtual attribute is created after birth, so it cannot be tested without the internal arts and mnemonics. I only let you use the practitioner's arts to test the virtual attributes in your body. If you want to test true and false attributes, you don't need to use the practitioner's arts, just put your hand on the bead for more than 5 seconds, and you'll be able to test them. Oh, so that's how it is. Lin Yi understood. Alright, Master Bai, you go on with your work, I'll test it here. Okay, call me if you don't understand anything. Boss Bai said quickly. After hanging up, he turned to the 3 girls. You don't need to use the practitioner's arts to test for true and false attributes. You just need to put your palm on the surface for 5 seconds or more. Chapter 27:16. Shu, you have a fire attribute and it's a true attribute. Lin Yi said after looking at the results. Alright, I guessed it a long time ago. Otherwise, why would there be fire poison in my body? Yushu shrugged, but there was a hint of disappointment in her eyes. Yao Yao, it's your turn. Lin Yi didn't notice Yushu's disappointment. And let me see. Meng Yao nodded and mimicked Shu, placing her palm on top of the bead. After a while, a bright golden light flashed on the bead. It was very dazzling. Yao Yao, you have a metal attribute which is also a true attribute. Lin Yi said after seeing the results. The 2 results surprised Lin Yi. He didn't think that both of them had a true attribute. This type of attribute was the easiest to train with. As long as they had the appropriate practitioner's arts, their training speed would be faster than normal practitioners. Metal attribute? So I have a metal attribute. Meng Yao was surprised by her own attribute. Then I'll have to pay attention to the incantations for the metal attribute in the future. Lin Yi nodded and turned to Xinyan. Xinyan, it's your turn. Can train too? Xinyan placed her palm on the bead curiously, waiting nervously for the results. But after waiting for 5 to 6 seconds, there were no changes on the bead. Lin Yi couldn't help but feel disappointed. Could it be that Xinyan couldn't become a strong practitioner because she didn't have a true and false attribute in her body? Although artificially created virtual attributes could also be cultivated, they would definitely not be able to cultivate as quickly as cultivators with real attributes and false attributes after cultivation. Xinyan was disappointed as well. Mengyao and Yushu both had their own attributes, but she didn't. Did that mean that she couldn't become as strong as Lin Yi? Lin Yi saw the disappointment in Xinyan's eyes. He was about to tell her that even a false attribute could be a big deal, just like him, but before Lin Yi could say anything, the bead started flashing with a strange light, as if a computer program had gone haywire. Mengyao, Yushu, and Xinyan gasped at the strangeness of the situation, not knowing what was going on. Xinyan, on the other hand, subconsciously pulled her hand back from the orb. Only then did the light on the bead dissipate, and Lin Yi was shocked by the sudden turn of events. What was going on? Xinyan's test result was different from Lin Yi's. Lin Yi had the 5 elements and 7 elements, and while he had a variety of colors, it was a regular display of 7 colors. Xinyan's, on the other hand, was completely different. It was as if the program had gone haywire, and the colors were flashing together, making it hard to tell what color it was. Xinyan, why don't you test it again? Lin Yi said, confused. Okay. Xinyan had only taken her hand away from the bead because of the shock, but Lin Yi's words made her put her hand back immediately. After a while, the same thing happened to the bead again. It was shining with all sorts of colors, and it was impossible to tell what kind of light it was shining with. Lin Yi scratched his head, troubled. He could only ask Boss Bai for help again. He dialed Boss Bai's number and got straight to the point, telling him about the weird situation he encountered at Wang Xinyan's place. What? Flashing with all sorts of colors? Boss Bai paused. Really? Are you sure you didn't see it wrong? No, it's still flashing now, Lin Yi said. I really haven't seen this before, and it wasn't introduced in the records of strange events. Boss Bai said, even Master Zhang Liju hasn't seen this before, so I can only see it with my own eyes and help you look for more information. Alright, I'll be troubling you then, Master Bai. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. So this situation wasn't even recorded in the records of strange events. It seemed like even Zhang Liju hadn't seen it before. Alright, I'll contact you when I have news, Boss Bai said. After hanging up, Lin Yi repeated what Boss Bai said to Xinyan and the others. Xinyan was quite surprised as well. Was her constitution really that weird? Even the bead used for testing couldn't detect it? Wasn't this too strange? Then, can I practice it or not? Xinyan asked carefully. I'm not sure yet, but since the bead can detect your element, I don't know what it is, but you should be able to practice it. It's just that I don't know what kind of arts you need to practice. Lin Yi thought about it. It's fine actually. Don't worry, I'll let Master Bai check it out for me. And alright. Xinyan nodded. After testing the attributes, the group talked about training for a while more before going to rest. Lin Yi, on the other hand, excitedly went back to his room with Xinyan. From tonight onwards, Lin Yi would be able to hug Xinyan and train at lightning speed again. Going from Earth-class late phase to Earth-class full late phase was a rather long process, but with Xinyan's help it should be faster. The next morning Lin Yi woke up early. That night Lin Yi had gained quite a lot. With Xinyan's help his training speed was a lot faster, and Lin Yi was very satisfied. However, Xinyan didn't wake up. She was still sound asleep even after Lin Yi had prepared breakfast. This confused Lin Yi a little. In the past few days Xinyan had been taking the medicine that Lin Yi made every day, and it seemed like her weak body was getting better. She wasn't that sleepy anymore and she would wake up normally to eat breakfast. But today she was sleepy again. This confused Lin Yi. Mengyao, Yushu, and Han Jingjing were all there, but Xinyan wasn't up yet. Lin Yi had no choice but to go to her room and wake her up, only to find that she was still sound asleep on the bed. Xinyan, it's time for breakfast. Lin Yi nudged Xinyan. Chapter 27:17. Xinyan didn't wait for Lin Yi's reply before falling asleep. Lin Yi didn't know if he should laugh or cry. Was she too tired last night? It couldn't be. Xinyan went to school like normal yesterday, and didn't do anything that drained her stamina. Lin Yi had to continue practicing, so she went to bed early. Why was she sleeping so much today? But since Xinyan had said so, Lin Yi decided to leave her be. He went out to talk to Mengyao and started eating breakfast, but Lin Yi prepared a portion for Xinyan in a lunchbox. He'd bring it to school later. Lin Yi had delayed going to school as much as he could, but Xinyan was still drowsy when she woke up. She followed Lin Yi to the car and fell asleep again. Lin Yi, is Xinyan sick again? Can you give her a checkup later? Mengyao felt that something was wrong with Xinyan. She hadn't been like this yesterday. Xinyan had woken up in high spirits when Lin Yi had gone to the tomb, a stark difference from today. What was with the drastic change in just one day? Alright, I'll give her a checkup when we get to school. Lin Yi nodded. They parked the car at school and Xinyan had to get up no matter how reluctant she was. She couldn't sleep on the side of the road, could she? She wasn't sleepwalking yet after all. Do you want me to carry you to class? Lin Yi asked, seeing how tired Xinyan was. Ah. Xinyan was almost tempted by Lin Yi, but she couldn't provoke Xiaolong in school. She gritted her teeth and shook her head. No need, I can walk myself. All right. Lin Yi didn't insist and went to class with Xinyan. Wang Xinyan's head was heavy and her feet were light. She almost fell a few times, and when she reached her seat she fell asleep before Boss Bai came. Lin Yi took the opportunity to examine her, and found that Xinyan's body, which had just recovered, was showing signs of weakness again. This situation surprised Lin Yi. Xinyan had been drinking the medicine Lin Yi made for her every day, and her body should have been getting better and better. Why was it getting worse and worse? Lin Yi frowned, unable to make sense of it. Xinyan was so energetic last night, why was she so different this morning? Lin Yi didn't have time to think about it before Boss Bai entered the classroom and started a new lesson. Lin Yi saw that Xinyan was really too tired, and decided not to disturb her. He took her notebook and started making notes for her. Lin Yi didn't need to remember these things since he was Boss Bai's special student. It was only a hobby that he was here to listen to the class. Xiaolong looked at Lin Yi and Xinyan, a dark look in his eyes. He didn't know how his brother, Kang Mingming, was doing in the Sky Elixir sect, and what position he had. Seeing his fiancée get intimate with another guy every day pissed him off. Kang bro, why don't you give your brother a call and ask him how he's doing? Pan Hu Right suggested, noticing Xiaolong's displeasure. I'd like to, but I don't have the guts to ask. You know that House Kang isn't even a normal noble house. How could we talk to an ancient sect? Xiaolong smiled bitterly. When Kang Mingming left, he communicated with us through your hidden house. If we go to the Sky Elixir sect directly, they might not even respond to us, and even if they did, we wouldn't know their contact details. I can give you their contact details, but you're right. Pan Hu Right nodded. Alright, I'll go ask around for you today. Thank you very much. Xiaolong said gratefully. Xinyan didn't wake up until the afternoon nap. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and looked at the time on her phone. She jumped. It's already noon? I've been sleeping all this time? Yeah, you looked really tired, so I didn't want to disturb you. Lin Yi smiled as he pushed a box of food in front of Xinyan. I bought this from the cafeteria. Hurry up and eat it, it's getting cold. There's also breakfast here. If it's not enough, you can have some. With that, Lin Yi took out the breakfast he prepared this morning. He saw that Xinyan hadn't woken up yet, so he asked Bai Weidua to buy 2 boxes of food. He ate in the classroom as well. I'll eat your breakfast. I like your food. Xinyan took the breakfast Lin Yi made, a little embarrassed. Lin Yi's food was much better than the ones in the cafeteria. She'd been living in Lin Yi's villa for a while now, and she'd become a bit picky. Normal food didn't taste good anymore. It's up to you. Lin Yi smiled. In the afternoon, Xinyan was in good spirits. Although she still yawned, she was much better than in the morning. After a whole day of classes, she went back with Lin Yi at night. Coiling Tiger Right, on the other hand, discussed with his uncle and grandpa about Xiaolong. Coiling Tiger, it's best if we don't mess with that Lin Yi. Him hitting on Xiaolong's wife has nothing to do with us. We shouldn't interfere, right? Right. Jintian thought for a while and gave his opinion. You're right, but Kang Mingming is the disciple of the Tiandan sect's 5th elder. If he inherits the elder's position in the future, it'll be like a dog ascending to the heavens. No matter how strong Lin Yi is, he won't be as strong as the Tiandan sect. He won't be able to compete with them, right? Right. Coiling Tiger thought about it a lot, so he agreed to Xiaolong's request. Jintian and Coiling Tiger are both right, old you said. However, if we call the Tiandan sect secretly, Lin Yi won't know. It's just a small effort. Coiling Tiger, don't go against Lin Yi on the surface. If Xiaolong wants to go against you, just watch. You can attack him behind his back, but don't let him get anything on the surface. Old you thought more. He already knew what happened to the hidden house Yu. On the hidden level, Zhao Qibing's kidnapping of Yuning wasn't a secret anymore. Lin Yi was able to walk out of the hidden house Yu unscathed, which proved the hidden house Yu's attitude. If the hidden house Yu couldn't do anything to Lin Yi, then what did the hidden house Yu have to go against Lin Yi? I understand. Right. Coiling Tiger nodded. He knew that Lin Yi couldn't be messed with. As a result, he kept a low profile in school. Even though he knew that Han Jingjing had the notes, he didn't dare to take it from her. What if Lin Yi found out and killed him? He wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Chapter 27:27, Refining the Bone Cleansing Pill. I'll call the young master of the Tiandan sect now, old you said. Right. Coiling Tiger and Right Jintian didn't dare to speak. They waited quietly and watched Old Yu respectfully call the young master of the Tiandan sect, Silkworm Transformation. Although Silkworm Transformation wasn't that old and was about the same age as Right Coiling Tiger, he was the young master of the Tiandan sect. He had a high status and Old Yu couldn't compare to him. "Hello, I'm the old master of the hidden house Yu. May I ask if the young master is here?" Old Yu said respectfully to the person on the phone. He didn't expect Silkworm Transformation to answer the phone personally. "Oh, it's Master Yu. The young master isn't here. What's the matter?" The woman on the phone asked. "Oh, when will the young master be free? Should I call again?" Old Yu heard that Silkworm Transformation wasn't here, so he asked. "Our young master has been practicing in seclusion recently. He's preparing for a big event. He can't answer your phone for a while. If you have anything you can tell me," said the woman. "I see." Old Yu felt a little strange. What was Silkworm Transformation preparing for? But he didn't dare to ask, so he said, "It's like this. Isn't Kong Ming Ming from the Kong family accepted as a disciple by the fifth elder? Now the Kong family wants to know how Kong Ming Ming is doing recently, so they asked me to help them find out." "Oh, that's it. I'll ask Kong Ming Ming to call you back later," said the woman lightly. She was the personal maid of Silkworm Transformation. Her status in the Tiandan sect was naturally not ordinary, so she didn't have much respect for the disciple of the fifth elder. "Okay, thank you," Old Yu said with a sigh of relief. Kong Xiaoming was nervously refining the pellet. Success or failure depended on this. This was his second time refining the bone and marrow cleansing pellet. He failed the first time, so he had to succeed the second time. Because there wasn't much time left for Silkworm Transformation, he had to go all out. Kong Ming Ming knew that his status and strength today were given to him by Silkworm Transformation. Once he couldn't refine the bone and marrow cleansing pill, Silkworm Transformation naturally wouldn't value him so much, and he wouldn't be able to stand firm in the Tiandan sect. If Lin Yi were here, he would be very surprised because Kong Ming Ming was now a Heaven Stage Master, a Huang Level 3 alchemist. This speed of advancement was simply like a rocket. Of course, in order to build up Kong Ming Ming, the Heavenly Elixir sect gave him Soul Gathering Pill, Small Qi Gathering Pill, Medium Qi Gathering Pill and Qi Gathering Pill. Kong Ming Ming's strength could be said to have soared all the way. Very soon he became a Heaven Stage Master and a Huang Level 3 alchemist. The Qi Gathering Pill was refined by the Xianzhen Grand Elder. Otherwise, with the Heavenly Elixir Sects, Heavenly Elixir Sects, Heavenly Elixir Sects, Heaven Stage and Mandi Ren, the success rate wouldn't be so high, and he wouldn't have had time to give it to Kong Ming Ming. Kong Ming Ming received such care, it showed how important the bone and marrow cleansing pill was to the Heavenly Elixir Sect or the Five Elements Sect. In the secret room sat Kong Ming Ming. His forehead was full of sweat as he condensed the alchemic fire to refine the bone and marrow cleansing pill. Beside him sat the Heavenly Elixir Sects, 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 Five Elements Sect. The Xianzhen Grand Elder personally sat here to supervise Kong Ming Ming's alchemy. One could imagine the importance of this alchemy mission. Slowly increase the temperature, increase the intensity of the fire. The Xianzhen Grand Elder ordered Kong Ming Ming. Kong Ming Ming carefully followed the instructions. Stabilize the temperature, continue to increase the intensity of the fire. The Xianzhen Grand Elder continued to order. Kong Ming Ming continued to follow the instructions. The Heavenly Silkworm Transformation's maid couldn't find Kong Ming Ming, she only saw the fifth elder, so she passed the Elder Yu's call to the fifth elder. "I know, but Kong Ming Ming is now doing something big. Once it's done, he might be able to communicate with the outside world without any hindrance." The fifth elder was a little relieved and a little emotional at the same time. If his disciple successfully refined the bone and marrow cleansing pill, he would become the eighth elder of the Heavenly Elixir Sect. Although his position wouldn't be as high as the fifth elder, he would still be an elder. This was his disciple. Of course the fifth elder was happy. However, thinking back, how much effort did he put in to become an elder of the Heavenly Elixir Sect? However, Kong Ming Ming was lucky. Not only did he have someone to assist him in leveling up, but he also refined a pill. This allowed him to stabilize his position as the eighth elder. How lucky was this? All right. The Heavenly Silkworm Transformation's maid nodded and left respectfully. She didn't really respect Kong Ming Ming, but she was very polite to the fifth elder. In the Heavenly Elixir Sect, the status of an elder was very high. Other than the Heavenly Silkworm Transformation, they had the highest status. As for the fifth elder, his eyes were fixed on the door of the secret room, and he was extremely nervous. "All right, slowly retract the fire." The Xianjun Grand Elder shouted and said excitedly. Yes. Kang Ming also felt that the pill was completed, so he quickly began to retract the fire. When Kang Ming finished retracting the fire, the celestial being didn't care about the heat and directly opened the lid of the medicine cauldron. Instantly, the room was filled with a fragrant aroma. The bone and marrow cleansing pill was successfully refined. Kang Ming wiped the sweat off his forehead and revealed a proud smile. He had been waiting for this moment. He finally succeeded. He was going to become the 8th elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect. Whatever Lin Yi, whatever Kang Xiaobo, they were all trash. No matter how strong Lin Yi was, he was just jumping around in the aristocratic families. Would he dare to go against the ancient families? What was there to be afraid of if even the hidden families didn't dare to provoke them? The pitiful Kang Ming still didn't know about Lin Yi's achievements. He still didn't know that the hidden families didn't dare to provoke Lin Yi anymore. He still thought that Lin Yi was the same as before he left. Very good. It's just that the quality is a bit lacking. The Xianjun Grand Elder looked at the bone and marrow cleansing pill in his hand excitedly and then swallowed it. This scene stunned Kang Ming and the celestial being. This bone and marrow cleansing pill wasn't for him to consume. Didn't it have other uses? Why was it swallowed by the Xianjun Grand Elder? The Xianjun Grand Elder looked at the two dumbfounded people in front of him and smiled. After I consume it, I can continue refining. Although Zhao Ming can also refine it, his skills aren't as good as mine. After I consume it, I can refine a better quality bone and marrow cleansing pill. Oh. The celestial being nodded. He was shocked and thought that the Xianjun Grand Elder had suddenly changed his mind. Chapter 27:18. After all, in order to raise Kang Ming, both the Sky Elixir sect and Five Elements sect had put in a lot of effort. This time, Elder Xuanzhen had concocted 2/3 level qi gathering pills consecutively, using up a lot of his qi and stamina. Normally speaking, he wouldn't be able to concoct any more pills for at least half a year, but after using large amounts of treasured herbs, he was able to recover. The Sky Elixir sect even took out the long-lost mid-qi gathering pill for Kang Ming to use. Every ancient sect had some of this in stock, but not many of them. Since the recipe was lost, they couldn't make it, and every pill they used was one less. Unless it was absolutely necessary, they wouldn't use it. They hadn't even used the Sky Silkworm transformation before, and now that they were giving it to Kang Ming, it was enough to show just how important this pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was. Of course, what they didn't know was that this pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was a recipe Lin Yi had created based on Zhang Liju's notes. Not only did it increase the difficulty of the concoction, but there was also a flaw in it. But even Elder Xuanzhen couldn't see the flaw in it. Unless Bai Boss went there himself, perhaps he would be able to see the flaw. The only ones left were Lin Yi and the missing Zhang Liju. But if Lin Yi knew about Kang Ming's situation, perhaps he would also sigh. Nowadays, having a good master and a good sect was more important than anything else. He could become a Sky class just by eating elixirs. Although he was just an elixir refiner with no strength like a pig on steroids, he was still a Sky class. Especially the fire pill, which allowed Kang Ming to have the fire element, allowing him to become a fire and wood elixir refiner. Since he only had 2 elements in his body, there wouldn't be any conflict, and there was no need for them to circular. It was fine as long as they were used. With the guidance of Elder Xianzhen, it would be a piece of cake for him to become a 3rd-grade alchemist. Now that Kang Ming had become the 8th elder, his status in the Heavenly Elixir sect had improved a lot. Many of the original restrictions were removed. The Heavenly Elixir sect held an elder conferring ceremony, and Kang Ming officially became an elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect. The maid who had been transformed by the Heavenly Silkworm came to Kang Ming again. However, this time her attitude was much better. She respectfully took him to make a phone call. Kang Ming first dialed the number of the Hidden Right family, but his attitude was not as respectful. "Hello? Is this Patriarch Yu?" Kang Ming said to the other side of the phone. "Yes, it's me. You are?" The phone call was from the Heavenly Elixir sect, and the tone was so rude. Old Master Yu subconsciously thought that it was a big shot in the Heavenly Elixir sect, so his tone became very respectful. "I'm Kang Ming." Kang Ming said faintly, "Patriarch Yu, why are you looking for me?" "Kang Ming?" When Old Master Yu heard that the other party was Kang Ming, he was a little annoyed. He thought, what's wrong with Kang Ming? After going to the Heavenly Elixir sect for a few days, he doesn't know what's going on? He actually uses this tone to talk to me? This young man is really impetuous. He doesn't use you to me but only you, which made Old Master Yu very uncomfortable. However, it was no wonder that Old Master Yu didn't think much about it. It was because the previous heavenly silkworm transformed maid wasn't very enthusiastic about Kong Ming Ming's tone and attitude. She had a kind of indifferent attitude, so Old Master Yu simply didn't think that Kong Ming Ming could be so powerful now. It's me. Do you have anything? Kong Ming Ming wanted to call his family, but he heard from the heavenly silkworm transformed maid that Old Master Yu of the hidden family was looking for him. Out of gratitude for introducing him, Kong Ming Ming called him back first. However, he didn't expect Old Master Yu to hesitate for a long time. He didn't say what the matter was, so Kong Ming Ming was a little impatient. Your big brother Kong Xiaolong, he can't call you, so he asked me to ask about your recent situation. Old Master Yu held back his anger and said to Kong Ming Ming, how are you recently? Why can't he call me? Kong Ming Ming snorted coldly and said fiercely, you tell him to call Heavenly Elixir Sect directly and find the 8th Elder. He can find me at any time. Find the 8th Elder? Old Master Yu was stunned. He thought, isn't Kong Ming Ming's master the 5th Elder? Moreover, there are only 7 elders in Heavenly Elixir Sect. Where did the 8th Elder come from? Yes, I am the 8th Elder. Kong Ming Ming said. What? You are the 8th Elder? Old Master Yu listened to Kong Ming Ming's words and he couldn't wrap his head around it. Kong Ming Ming became the 8th Elder of Heavenly Elixir Sect? Nonsense, is it interesting to pretend to be an elder? Kong Ming Ming snorted. I pretend to be an elder casually. Am I not afraid of being punished? I'm sorry, I've seen the 8th Elder. Old Master Yu was shocked. It seemed that Kong Ming Ming's big thing was done. He was promoted to the 8th Elder of Heavenly Elixir Sect. No wonder his tone was so rude. It turned out that his position was there. Therefore, Old Master Yu quickly apologized carefully. The Elder of Heavenly Elixir Sect had a respected position. He couldn't offend him. At this moment, Old Master Yu adjusted his mentality. He knew that Kong Ming Ming's family was no longer the Kong family of the past. When a man achieved success, his chickens and dogs would rise to heaven. Pan Hu really guessed it right. It's okay. Is there anything else? Asked Kong Ming Ming. No. No, the 8th Elder, do you have any instructions? Old Master Yu said in fear and trepidation. No, I have to call my elder brother. Kong Ming Ming said. Okay, please. Old Master Yu heard the sound of the other party hanging up the phone. He wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He was scared to death. I almost offended Kong Ming Ming. Who would have thought that this kid was so powerful? He suddenly became an elder of Heavenly Elixir Sect? Grandpa Kong Ming Ming really became an elder of Heavenly Elixir Sect? Old Master Yu's phone call was made in front of Pan Hu and Yu Jintian, so the two of them also heard the contents of the phone call. Pan Hu asked in shock. Yes, he really did it. He wouldn't dare to lie. Old Master Yu sighed and said, Pan Hu, you're really far-sighted. You've always had a good relationship with Kong Xiaolong. Otherwise, our hidden house of Yu would be in trouble this time. Yu Jintian's face darkened. He didn't speak. He almost made a wrong decision just now. If he offended the Kong family, it was equivalent to offending Kong Ming Ming. The hidden house of Yu would be in danger. Grandpa then in the future? Pan Hu asked quickly. Chapter 27:19. But we can respect Xiaolong. We can't mess with the Heavenly Elixir Sect, but we can't mess with Linny either. Elder Yu was calmer. Don't offend Linny just to please Xiaolong. Otherwise, it'll be hard for us if Linny comes knocking on our door. I know. Don't worry, Grandpa. I won't mess with Linny directly. Yu Coiling Tiger hurriedly promised. Actually, he wouldn't dare provoke Linny head-on. He was afraid that Linny would beat him up. Kong Xiaoming's heart was filled with pride. He thought about all the things that had happened since he came to Sky Elixir Sect. It felt like a lifetime had passed. He was now standing in the middle of the top few in his sect. From a good-for-nothing playboy, he had become an elder of an ancient sect. Looking back on the past, Kong Ming realized that the head of House Kong was nothing. House Kong wasn't even a normal noble house in the past. He actually wanted to fight for the head of House Kong. Now this position was nothing in Kong Ming Ming's eyes. The hatred he had for his brother Xiaolong disappeared without a trace. A person stood at a different height, had a different perspective and looked at things differently. The current Kong Ming Ming was no longer the Kong Ming Ming of the past. He hoped that his brother could make House Kong stronger and stronger. He couldn't give up the elder position of Heavenly Elixir Sect and return to House Kong. So, Kong Ming Ming could only try his best to support his brother Xiaolong. With mixed feelings, Kong Ming Ming dialed his grandpa's room number. Hello, I'm Kong Lai Kai. Dr. Kong picked up the phone. House Kong had been keeping a low profile recently. Although they had the support of the hidden House Yu, House Kong wasn't even a noble house. Although they were helping the hidden house you sell some low-end elixirs, Kong Laikai wasn't as tough as he used to be after losing the title of Miracle Doctor. Grandpa, it's me, Xiaoming. It had been a long time since Kong Ming heard his grandfather's voice again, so he was very excited. Thinking of how the Kong family had to beg for the title of an aristocratic family and how their medical company was ruined by Lin Yi, Kong Ming was filled with emotions, illumination. Dr. Kong was also taken aback. He quickly asked, Xiaoming, how are you? It's been such a long time. Did you suffer in the Heavenly Elixir sect? Of course I suffered a lot. Kong Ming recalled his time in the Heavenly Elixir sect. It felt like a lifetime ago. The pain wasn't something an ordinary person could endure. Just taking elixirs to break through was enough to make him suffer, and then there was the devilish training day and night. It was true that a great teacher produces a great disciple, but if Kong Ming hadn't been trained like a dog, he wouldn't have his current strength. It could be said that before Kong Xiaoming had succeeded, neither the Five Elements sect nor the Heavenly Elixir sect had treated him as a person, but as a tool to be used. Now that the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing had been refined, Kong Xiaoming finally had the status he deserved. Sigh. Dr. Kong sighed. Our Kong family is small, not even an aristocratic family. Compared to the ancient sects, it's like heaven and earth. Grandson, you've suffered. Grandpa can't help you get out of this suffering. Our only backing is the hidden house of you, but even the hidden house of you can't help us say these things. Haha, Grandpa, don't say that. Your grandson's suffering is over. Our Kong family's glory days are here. Kong Ming laughed. What aristocratic family? What hidden aristocratic family? If I say the Kong family is the hidden Kong family, then it is the hidden Kong family. Who dares to say otherwise? Dr. Kong was a little dumbfounded after hearing Kong Ming's words. Grandson Xiaoming, have you become stupid from exhaustion? Are you talking nonsense? Grandpa, you still don't know, right? I've already helped the Heavenly Elixir sect complete that big thing. I'm now the 8th elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect, one of the most powerful people in the sect. Kong Ming said. What? You've become the elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect? Is that true? Dr. Kong didn't believe it. Moreover, you don't have the corresponding strength. Can you sit in that position? Of course it's true. Kong Ming said, Strength? Your grandson I is now a heaven stage master, a 3rd-level alchemist of the yellow class. I'm at the top of the alchemists. Even the old Master Yu of the Hidden Yu family has to bow down to me. You're already a heaven stage master and a 3rd-level alchemist of the yellow class? Dr. Kang's heart almost exploded after hearing Kong Ming's words. How was it possible? How could Kong Ming be so powerful? Of course, although I don't know why the Heavenly Elixir sect needs the bone and marrow cleansing pill, in order to cultivate me to refine this pill, they spent all their resources on me. I dare say that even the young master of the Heavenly Elixir sect doesn't have such preferential treatment. How can I not be powerful? Kong Ming said proudly. Oh my God. Dr. Kong was shocked, but after the shock he believed Kong Ming's words. He raised his head and shouted to the sky, Ha, my Kong family is finally going to rise again. Of course, Grandpa. Don't be afraid. As long as I'm here, the Kong family will definitely be glorious. Kong Ming said, I'm a heaven stage master. My lifespan is very long. It's enough to protect the Kong family for more than 100 years. Don't worry and develop the family's scale. Good. I'll announce that you're the next master of the Kong family in a while. Dr. Kong said excitedly. Hee, Grandpa, leave the position of master to my brother. I'll be an elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect, so I won't be able to return to the Kong family. However, I'll always be the guardian of the Kong family. Kong Ming said arrogantly. However, Dr. Kong didn't think that Kong Ming was bragging. He had the ability and capability. A family with a heaven stage master could definitely become a hidden house. This heaven stage master was also an elder of the Heavenly Elixir sect, one of the biggest ancient sections. This made this hidden house have an ancient background. Although the hidden house you also had the Heavenly Elixir sect's background, it wasn't as close as Kong Ming's background. After all, Kong Ming would definitely lean towards his own family. I understand, Xiaoming. You're the pride of the Kong family. Dr. Kong let out a long breath. I'll inform Kong Guifeng, Kong Tsuepu and Kong Xiaolong to come back and share this good news. Chapter 27:20. Alright, I got it. Dr. Kong hung up excitedly. Today was destined to be a day of celebration for House Kong. Other than Dr. Kong, Xiaolong was also the most excited. He'd been holding it in for too long, watching Lin Yi flirt with his fiancée right in front of him. It was a huge humiliation. But in the past, Xiaolong had to hold it in so he wouldn't piss Lin Yi off. When he couldn't hold it in anymore, he'd look at the ninja turtle and hold it in. But now Xiaolong didn't have to hold it in anymore. He could finally fight back, go against Lin Yi and pursue Wang Xinyan. He had someone to rely on. Xiaolong knew very well that Lin Yi wouldn't dare kill him in Boss Bai's class, but he was afraid that Lin Yi would play dirty. But after what happened with Pinliang, Xiaolong realized a problem. Lin Yi wouldn't really kill Pinliang. Even if Pinliang wasn't Boss Bai's student, he wouldn't dare. At the end of the day, it was because Pinliang had an ancient background. If he wasn't a disciple of the everyday sect, would Lin Yi even be afraid of him? So now that Xiaolong had an ancient background and a younger brother who was an elder of the Sky Elixir sect, he didn't believe that Lin Yi would dare kill him. At the very least, when it came to fighting Lin Yi for Wang Xinyan, as long as he didn't go overboard, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Although Dr. Kong said that Kong Ming was an elder of the Sky Elixir sect, Xiaolong wasn't that stupid when it came to Lin Yi. Lin Yi wasn't someone who could be judged by common sense. If you didn't cross his bottom line, he might not do anything to you because of your background, but if you crossed his bottom line, he wouldn't care who you were, he'd kill you first. And so, while House Kong was discussing their future plans, Xiaolong was also plotting how he was going to pursue Wang Xinyan. At the very least, he wanted to surpass Lin Yi in this matter and get rid of the hatred in his heart. In the beginning, Xiaolong didn't have any feelings for Wang Xinyan. The marriage was only beneficial to House Kang's development, but as time went on, especially with Lin Yi joining the family, Xiaolong subconsciously treated Wang Xinyan as his exclusive property. He wouldn't allow anyone else to touch her. Seeing how close Lin Yi was to Wang Xinyan every day, Xiaolong was filled with anger and discomfort. Now that he had the chance to turn things around, he wouldn't let it go. This had become a twisted mentality that he had been suppressing for a long time. Even if House Kong was powerful now, he didn't want to break off the engagement with Wang Xinyan. If he did, wouldn't that prove that he was afraid of Lin Yi? It was true that he was afraid of Lin Yi, but now that he had Kong Ming, an elder of the Sky Elixir sect, backing him up, what did he have to be afraid of? The next morning Lin Yi woke up. Wang Xinyan was still sound asleep and Lin Yi didn't wake her up. He ate breakfast with Mengyao, Yushu and Han Jingjing. After that, Lin Yi didn't wake Wang Xinyan either. Instead, he took her to school. When they entered the classroom, Lin Yi was still holding Wang Xinyan in his arms. This scene was witnessed by Xiaolong, who had just walked into the classroom in high spirits. Xiaolong was furious. How could he hold it in? Even if he didn't have Kong Ming's support, Lin Yi walking into the classroom with his fiancée in his arms was enough to make him go berserk. Lin Yi, what are you doing? Let go of that lowly. Kong Ming roared. Lin Yi looked at Kong Ming, confused. What are you talking about? Is there something wrong with you? Let go of Wang Xinyan. Kong Ming had read a bunch of romance novels yesterday, trying to find a way to win Lin Yi against Wang Xinyan. He'd read too much, and when he was walking he was thinking about the plots in those novels. Suddenly he saw Lin Yi holding Wang Xinyan, and he said the wrong thing in his excitement. You really are crazy. Can't you see that she's asleep? Let go of her and she'll fall to the ground. Lin Yi frowned, ignoring Xiaolong and walking into the classroom. Wait, I should be the one hugging her, why are you hugging her? Xiaolong tried to stop Lin Yi. Lin Yi ignored him. Right, why is she asleep? How did you meet her? Where did the two of you go yesterday? Xiaolong suddenly realized that something was wrong. If Wang Xinyan was asleep, then it couldn't have been a coincidence at school, or she wouldn't be walking while sleeping. It had to be Lin Yi carrying the sleeping Wang Xinyan to school. What had happened between them? Xiaolong felt like he'd been cheated on. Xiaolong's face was red and his eyes were about to spit fire, but Lin Yi had already entered the classroom. He couldn't ask too many questions in front of the students, or he'd be the one embarrassed. As a result, Xiaolong could only follow Lin Yi into the classroom with a sullen look on his face. Kong bro, what's wrong? Panhu Yu saw the scene, but he didn't change his expression. Lin Yi is too much. Xiaolong's face was green. It seems like he really doesn't see me as Wang Xinyan's fiancée. This? Panhu right calculated in his heart. I really can't help much with this, brother. The problem is that Lin Yi doesn't know your background right now, so naturally he won't put you in his eyes. If he knew your background, he'd probably be a little more cautious. That's true. Xiaolong calmed down after listening to Right Coiling Tiger's words. Lin Yi's arrogance was probably because he didn't put House Kong in his eyes at all, but that was understandable. House Kong used to be like the sun was setting in the west, and it was normal for Lin Yi to look down on them. After all, he didn't even put the hidden house you coiling tiger in his eyes. Then what should I do? I can't just tell Lin Yi like an idiot that my brother is the 8th elder of the Sky Elixir sect, can I? Well, it's not impossible. Upon who you thought about it. After class, I'll go talk to Han Jingjing and see if I can get her notes. You can help her and tell her that your brother is the 8th elder of the Sky Elixir sect. That way Lin Yi will hear it. That's a good idea. Xiaolong agreed immediately. This way he'd indirectly tell Lin Yi about his background. Chapter 27-21. During the first class, Xinyan still hadn't woken up. Lin Yi still helped her take notes and didn't disturb her, but he was very puzzled. What was wrong with Xinyan? From Lin Yi's examination, Xinyan didn't seem to have any illness. She was just very weak, but Lin Yi had been making her potions every day. Why was it getting worse instead of getting better? Xiaolong had wanted to bring Pan Hu right to show off after class, but Xinyan hadn't woken up, and she wouldn't be able to see him. He had no choice but to push the idea aside and walk to Lin Yi's side. What did you do to her last night? Why is she still sleeping? Lin Yi looked at Xiaolong faintly. She's sick, what can I do to her? Plus, I don't have to tell you what I did to her, do I? She's my fiancée, I have the right to know. Xiaolong said. Oh, she's your fiancée? Aren't we not married yet? I can still say that she's my girlfriend. Lin Yi said. You. Xiaolong suppressed his anger and turned to leave. He sneered in his heart. Lin Yi, when Xinyan wakes up, you'll see how scared you are when you find out about my background. I'll let you be cocky for a while. It wasn't until noon that Xinyan woke up. Xiaolong and Pan Hu bought lunch boxes to eat in the classroom in order to show off. Xiaolong didn't care about eating anymore when he saw Xinyan wake up. He stood up and strode towards Lin Yi and Xinyan. Lin Yi frowned when he saw the two walking over. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that Pan Hu right sat next to Han Jingjing, who was behind Lin Yi. Xiaolong, on the other hand, didn't bother Lin Yi and Xinyan. Han Jingjing? How has your alchemy been recently? How about we exchange some pointers? Pan Hu said to Han Jingjing, who was writing and drawing on the tablet. He looked at the tablet in Han Jingjing's hands and really wanted to snatch it away. Oh. Han Jingjing turned off the tablet and glanced at Tiger Yu. Are you here to cheat me of my good information again? Cough cough cough. Pan Hu was choked by Han Jingjing's words. What do you mean I'm here to cheat you of your good information again? It was clearly a crappy class notebook, but you cheated me of so much money at the auction. However, Right Coiling Tiger couldn't say anything. After all, the auction was voluntary and no one forced him to buy anything from the auction. So if he lost money, he could only blame it on his bad luck. Right Coiling Tiger could only say, how can you say it's cheating? We are just communicating. I just want to ask if you've encountered any difficulties when refining pills recently. Can you help me solve my problems? Han Jingjing asked back. Of course I can't. But I can find a powerful refiner to give you some pointers. That refiner is quite powerful. Right Coiling Tiger said. Oh, who is that? Han Jingjing frowned. You're not talking about your grandfather, are you? Of course not. My grandfather is only a second-level refiner. The one I'm talking about is a third-level refiner and a sky class at that. Right Coiling Tiger said in a tempting tone. How about it? Do you want him to give you some pointers? Oh, then let him come. Han Jingjing said perfunctorily. That's an elder of the Sky Elixir sect. How can he come just like that? How about this? Give me your notes and I'll show it to him and let him give me some pointers. Just a few words and you'll benefit a lot. Right Coiling Tiger said. You're cheating Jing's notes again. Who knows if there's such a person? Han Jingjing glared at Tiger Yu and didn't want to talk to him anymore. How can it be cheating? There really is such a person. Kong Xiaolong Bro can be a witness. If you don't believe me, ask Kong Bro. Right Coiling Tiger winked at Xiaolong, indicating that it was his turn. Xiaolong had been waiting for a long time. He quickly said, of course, because that person is my younger brother, Kong Ming Ming. He's currently the 8th elder of the Sky Elixir sect, a sky class and a third-level refiner. Oh, is that so? Han Jingjing said indifferently. When Xiaolong said this, he was paying attention to Lin Yi's expression and reaction. What made him depressed was that Lin Yi didn't seem to hear him at all. He continued to eat quietly, not showing any signs of discomfort. Of course, Lin Yi was only shocked on the surface. In fact, Lin Yi was extremely shocked. He never would have thought that a once ignorant and useless young master would become a sky class and third-level refiner. This was too crazy, wasn't it? Although Lin Yi knew that a solo practitioner like him couldn't be compared to the disciples of the ancient sects, he didn't think that Kang Ming could go from a normal person to sky class in such a short amount of time. Even faster than Zhang Naipeo? Lin Yi understood that a refiner's training speed was faster than a normal practitioner's, but at the same time, their strength was also weaker than a normal practitioner's. But he still felt that it was unfair. Was he on drugs? How could his strength grow so fast? Even if Xiao Xiao was an inheritor, she wouldn't be as fast as him. However, this also meant that either Xiaolong was bragging, or the Sky Elixir sect was hiding their strength in the ancient sections. Not only was it one of the strongest sects in the ancient sects, but he had something else to rely on. But what Lin Yi didn't understand was, how did Kang Ming become the 8th elder of the Sky Elixir sect? Why would the Sky Elixir sect put so much effort into training a useless young master like him? Even training Xiaolong would be better than him, right? All of a sudden, Lin Yi thought of a possibility. When Kang Xiaoming kidnapped Guan Xin, he'd asked for the recipe for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But what Lin Yi had given him was the new recipe he'd created by combining the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing with Zhang Liju's original pill of bone cleansing. Back then, Lin Yi had set 2 small flaws in the recipe, one of which was that in order to make the new pill of bone cleansing, one had to have taken the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing or the pill of bone cleansing. Only those with a pure body constitution could successfully make it. Chapter 27-22. The Sky Elixir sect must have discovered this secret and trained Kang Ming to become a Sky Class Master and a Golden Class 3rd level refiner. But this also meant that the Sky Elixir sect placed a lot of importance on Kang Ming. In other words, they placed a lot of importance on the bone cleansing pill. Otherwise they wouldn't have trained Kang Ming like this. But what did they want the pill for? Lin Yi couldn't figure it out and decided to ask Boss Bai when he had the time. Thinking of this, it all made sense. House Kang, House Yu, and the Sky Elixir sect were working together, and the master who kidnapped Guan Xin was either from House Yu or the Sky Elixir sect. Xiaolong guessed that this was a show-off to Han Jingjing after he became strong. Xiaolong was disappointed when Lin Yi didn't respond. He wasn't sure if Lin Yi was afraid of the Sky Elixir sect or not. Why wasn't he reacting at all? Lin Yi was strong and he could kill a Sky Class Master in a second, but the Sky Elixir sect was a big place. He shouldn't be afraid, right? So, Han Jingjing, do you want his advice? Pan Hu didn't really care about Lin Yi's reaction. He only wanted Han Jingjing's notes. He wasn't interested in messing with Lin Yi anymore. Since House Yu couldn't afford to mess with them, then it was best not to. The 8th elder of the Sky Elixir sect? Compared to mine, he's weak. I'm not interested, Han Jingjing said with a disinterested look. Yours? Who's yours? Right Coiling Tiger's eyes lit up. He was moved and asked Han Jingjing. He had always wanted to find out Han Jingjing's master. Otherwise, how could Han Jingjing know alchemy? Mine? You don't know? Han Jingjing asked. Who is it? Can you tell me? Pan Hu asked eagerly. Alright, since you're so sincere, I'll tell you, Han Jingjing said. Actually, Jingjing is the pill Saint Zhang Liju. What? You really got Zhang Liju's legacy? Pan Hu was shocked. Jingjing hasn't finished yet. Do you want to listen or not? If you don't want to listen, then forget it. Han Jingjing was very unhappy about being interrupted by Right Coiling Tiger. Then continue. Right Coiling Tiger said. Mine belongs to the pill Saint Zhang Liju, the strongest refiner in the world, Elder Shantian. Han Jingjing said. Right Coiling Tiger was speechless after listening. Are you talking about Boss Bai? Don't you know? Han Jingjing glared at Tiger Yu unhappily. Are you playing with Jingjing? If there's nothing else, let's go. Jingjing has to study. This, all right. Right Coiling Tiger didn't know how high the sky was, but he couldn't say that Kang Ming was stronger than Boss Bai. Even if Boss Bai's meridians were all destroyed, he was still stronger than Kang Ming. Xiaolong was a bit troubled as well. He'd wanted to scare Lin Yi a bit, but it seemed like Lin Yi wasn't affected at all. He didn't care at all. Xinyan was in front, and she heard Xiaolong's words. The news of Kang Ming becoming a Sky Class, the 8th elder of the Sky Elixir sect, hit her chest like a hammer. She couldn't breathe. How could Kang Ming be so lucky? He had already surpassed Lin Yi and became a Sky Class? And he had such a high position in the Sky Elixir sect? All of this made Xinyan feel as if the world was spinning around her. She had some hope, but now Lin Yi seemed to have been left behind by his opponents again? Xinyan sneaked a glance at Lin Yi, wanting to say something. Don't be afraid, it's nothing. A Sky Class refiner doesn't have much fighting power. Lin Yi saw through Xinyan's worry and comforted her. Let's eat. Yeah. Xinyan didn't relax just yet. What Lin Yi said made sense, but Xinyan knew what it meant to be a third-level golden class refiner and how rare they were. Lin Yi had always wanted Han Jingjing to become a golden class third-level refiner, but she didn't succeed. Kang Mingming did, and Kang Mingming's position in the Sky Elixir sect was obvious. Although Kang Mingming wasn't that strong, he had the Sky Elixir sect behind him. As a result, Xinyan couldn't bring herself to be happy, but in order not to worry Lin Yi, she decided to eat her lunch. The most confused were Xiaolong and Tiger Right. The two returned to their seats and Xiaolong said unhappily, "Why doesn't Lin Yi have any reaction?" "Kong bro, I think there are 3 possibilities." Right Coiling Tiger thought about it. First, Lin Yi has other sources of information, so he knew about this a long time ago. That's why he wasn't shocked. Second, Lin Yi doesn't care about this at all. Elder 8 is a Sky class and a third-level refiner, but with Lin Yi's strength, killing him in a second shouldn't be hard. Third, Lin Yi is pretending to be calm, but from what I see, this possibility is very small. You're right. My brother is a Sky class, but Lin Yi can kill Sky class masters in a second, and his refiner is even weaker. This is probably why Lin Yi doesn't care. Xiaolong thought through some things after hearing Tiger Right's words. He thought about Lin Yi's strength. Then what do we do? But both of them guessed wrongly. Lin Yi, in their eyes, was the most impossible third possibility. But it's fine. At least Lin Yi won't do anything to you. Elder 8 isn't as strong as Lin Yi, but he represents the Sky Elixir sect, and there are other masters in the sect. You just do what you need to do. Didn't you see that Lin Yi didn't do anything to us just now? Tiger Right analyzed. That's true. Xiaolong felt a little better. In the afternoon, during the White Boss's break, Lin Yi came to find him. "Why are you in such a hurry?" "I haven't looked up Xinyan's special condition yet. You'll have to wait." The White Boss thought that Lin Yi was here to ask him about Xinyan, so he shrugged and said helplessly, "Mr. Bai, you misunderstood. I'm here to ask you something else." Lin Yi waved his hand and pointed to an empty place. "Shall we go there?" "Okay." The White Boss nodded, but he was a little confused. What did Lin Yi want to ask him? "Mr. Bai, it's like this. Have you heard of the pill?" Lin Yi asked. Chapter 27-23. Of course I've heard of it. Moreover, our 5 Elements sect used to have this recipe, but we lost it later. Why are you suddenly asking about this? Speaking up to this point, Boss Bai suddenly had a look of realization. I know. Did you read some ancient books yourself and found out about the conditions for inheriting the virtual constitution? Lin Yi was stunned when he heard Boss Bai's random words. What do you mean? Why is it related to my virtual constitution? Huh? You don't know? Boss Bai also looked at Lin Yi in confusion. Of course I don't know. Could this marrow and bone cleansing pill be related to inheritance? Lin Yi suddenly thought of something. That's right. Because the virtual constitution is obtained through external forces, it's not particularly pure. It exists in the body and has many flaws. The effect of the marrow and bone cleansing pill is to make the virtual constitution pure, thereby increasing the success rate of inheritance. Boss Bai nodded and said, for example, if 2 people with the virtual constitution accept the inheritance together, their chances are the same, and either of them can obtain the inheritance. However, if one of them takes the marrow and bone cleansing pill, then the one who takes the marrow and bone cleansing pill will definitely receive the inheritance. In other words, after taking the marrow and bone cleansing pill, one can definitely receive the inheritance? Lin Yi asked. That's not it. It just increases the success rate. Nothing is absolute, and this can also fail. Boss Bai shook his head and said, I see. The Heavenly Elixir sect might be refining this marrow and bone cleansing pill, Lin Yi said. Heavenly Elixir sect? Maybe the 5 Elements sect needs it? Boss Bai frowned and said, Taganlong was crippled by you. Maybe the 5 Elements sect is in a hurry to cultivate another replacement, so they're using the marrow and bone cleansing pill? That's not it either. It should be that before I crippled Taganlong, they had already started searching for the recipe and were preparing to refine it. Lin Yi shook his head and denied this guess. Then, maybe it's another plan that was prepared a long time ago. Boss Bai thought for a moment and said, Taganlong is the light pawn in their plan. As far as I know, there should be a dark pawn. Maybe they never gave up on the dark pawn from the very beginning, and the light and the dark are synchronized. Even if something happens to one of them, it won't affect the entire plan. I see. Lin Yi nodded and guessed. In that case, their spy might also have a constitution of the 5 elements and 7 attributes, but there's a void attribute among them. It's possible, but I don't know the details. Xianchen wouldn't tell me, Boss Bai said. The bell for class rang and Linny returned to his seat. He had basically asked all the questions he wanted to ask and he had gained something. At least he knew that if the Phantom Attribute wanted to receive the legacy, they needed to have a condition to increase the success rate. At night, after school, Linny walked out of the classroom with Xinyan and Han Jingjing as usual, and then drove back to the villa with Mengyao and the others. Because of what happened in the morning, Xiaolong was still holding a grudge against Lin Yi and Xinyan. After school he didn't go back to the dorm or the Kangs, but followed Lin Yi and Xinyan to the parking lot. When he saw Xinyan get into Lin Yi's car, his eyes turned green with anger. As expected, there's a problem. Xiaolong pointed at Lin Yi's car, furious. He wanted to rush up and pull Xinyan out of the car, but his rationality told him that he would probably get beaten up. It was true that Lin Yi didn't dare to kill him, but he would definitely get beaten up. As long as he didn't die, it wouldn't be a big deal. After all, Pinliang didn't even have an advantage against Lin Yi before. Kong bro, calm down. Let's follow them and see. Panhuyu stopped the car beside Xiaolong and opened the door. Alright, I'll go see where they're going. Xiaolong nodded and got in the car, and Panhuyu followed Lin Yi. Xiaolong knew that he was alone, and that he would be at a disadvantage against Lin Yi. After getting in the car, he calmed down and took out his phone, recording the entire process of Lin Yi's car. Lin Yi noticed that Panhuyu was following them, but he didn't bother with him. After all, a lot of people in the class knew where he lived, and it wasn't a secret. As long as he didn't do anything dangerous, Lin Yi wouldn't bother with him. The car stopped in front of Lin Yi's villa. Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao went back to their own villa, while Lin Yi, Xinyan, Mengyao, and Yushu entered Lin Yi's villa. This scene was recorded by Xiaolong, who was parked far away at the entrance of the district. Lin Yi, you're living with Xinyan? This is intolerable. Xiaolong was so angry that he wanted to smash the phone on the floor, but he held himself back. This was important evidence. He couldn't beat Lin Yi head-on, but he could think of other ways. Kong bro, don't be impulsive. Impulsiveness is the devil. Panhuyu didn't want Xiaolong and Lin Yi to fight. It wouldn't do him any good. Let's go to the Xiao family. Xiaolong took a deep breath and said to Panhuyu. After the marriage, the Xiao family and the Kong family moved to Donghai to help House Kong with their business. Especially now that House Kong was working for House Yu, the Xiao family could get a lot of benefits even if they just ran errands. As a result, the Xiao family was very close to the Kong family. Especially yesterday, when the news of Kong Mingming becoming the 8th elder of the Sky Elixir sect spread. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben of the Xiao family decided that they would follow House Kang's lead from now on. They had to stabilize the marriage. House Kong was getting stronger and stronger, and the Xiao family was already climbing up the social ladder. Without this marriage, it was hard to say if House Kong would continue to support the Xiao family. Xiaolong's sudden visit surprised Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben. After receiving the notification from the guard, the two brothers personally went to the entrance of the Xiao family's villa and respectfully invited Xiaolong and Panhuyu into the villa. Master Kong, Master Yu, your visit brings light to our humble house. Xiao Ben smiled. Bro, let sis-in-law wash the fruits and pour some tea. No need. I can't eat and I can't drink. Xiaolong waved his hand coldly, his face dark. I'm here today to cancel the marriage. Chapter 27-24. Could it be that because Kong Mingming had become the 8th elder of the Sky Elixir sect, House Kong felt that the Xiao family was no longer worthy of a marriage alliance? Xiao Ben felt bitter at the thought, but he didn't dare to get angry. After all, House Kong was no longer something that the Xiao family could reach. They could only look up to them. Young Master Kong, what do you mean by this? Didn't we agree on the marriage between our two families? You can't cancel it just because your brother is rich now, can you? Xiao Ji was a straightforward person and couldn't hold back his words. He wanted to die knowing the reason behind it. Xiao Ben thought to himself that his brother didn't know how to beat around the bush. Now that he had said it, there was no turning back. Wouldn't he have to cancel it even if he didn't want to? My brother is rich now? Xiaolong smiled coldly. Do you think House Kong would do something like that? We've already resolved the misunderstanding. Would we make the same mistake again? Then you're... Xiao Ben realized that it wasn't because of Kong Mingming's rise to power and his ancient background that caused House Kong to abandon the Xiao family. It was because of something else. At the thought, Xiao Ben was grateful for his brother's bluntness. If he didn't say it, he wouldn't even know the reason behind it. Only by knowing the reason could he solve the problem. If he didn't know the reason, he wouldn't know why Xiaolong was so angry. Look at your phones yourselves. Xiaolong threw his phone in front of Xiao Ben with a humph. Ah. Xiao Ben picked up Xiaolong's phone. He didn't know what Xiaolong wanted him to see, so he asked curiously, "What do you want me to see?" "Look at the videos on the phone." Xiaolong humphed. Xiao Ben didn't know what was going on. He opened the video folder in Xiaolong's phone and played the first video. A woman's moans came from the phone. Xiao Ben and Xiao Ji looked at the video stunned. In the video, Xiaolong was on top of a woman moving up and down, and the woman was moaning crazily. "This? Young Master Kong, you're showing us this? Are you saying that you've fallen in love with another woman and don't like our Xinyan anymore?" Xiao Ben didn't understand why Xiaolong wanted him to watch this selfie video. He could only guess. Cough cough. "Not this one, look at the last one." Xiaolong blushed. This was taken when he was looking for Miss, watching Lin Yi and Wang Xinyan kissing each other every day. Xiaolong couldn't vent his anger, so he vented it on Mississippi. The cameraman was Tiger Wright, who liked to take selfies with his phone. Xiaolong didn't mind at the time, but now that Xiao Ben released it, he felt a little awkward. Ugh. Xiao Ben turned off the video and played the last one. In the video, Xiao Ben saw a car parked in front of a villa. The door opened and Xinyan and a group of people got out of the car and walked into the villa. Xiao Ben saw a few familiar faces in the group, and one of them was Xiao family's biggest enemy, Lin Yi. As for Lin Yi, Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben could only grit their teeth. House Xiao's backers, one after the other, went to Lin Yi's side. From the common house Wu to the hidden house Pai, it was the same. "Lin Yi? This video is..." Xiao Ben thought for a moment and asked carefully. "This villa belongs to Lin Yi. After school, Lin Yi and Xinyan came back to this villa together. I don't need to explain what this means, do I?" Xiaolong said with a cold smile. "My fiancé is living with another man. What else can I do other than cancel the engagement?" Xiaolong came here to make a scene so that he could save his face first. It was completely different whether he started it or not. If he started it first, the Xiao family would try their best to salvage the situation. But if he started it first, he'd look like he was screaming himself hoarse. "Oh, there must be some kind of misunderstanding?" Xiao Ben said. "This video shows a group of people going to the villa. Maybe they're there as guests or having a party?" "What party? A party?" Xiaolong glared. "That's Lin Yi's villa to begin with. Meng Yao and Yushu live there, and now Xinyan's in there as well. What's the point of having a party? Plus, I saw Xinyan being carried to school by Lin Yi this morning, and she slept the whole morning. Clearly she didn't sleep at all. What did she do last night? Can you guess?" Xiao Ben was stunned and his face was a little ugly. Although he had already determined something in his heart, he still said, "Young Master Kong, don't worry about this. Maybe it's a misunderstanding. Let me go and ask." "Alright, go get her. I'll wait here. I want to see if there's a misunderstanding or not." Xiaolong sat on the sofa in the living room with a cold smile. "Okay, young Master Kong, then you should take a rest first. I'll go find her and ask her about it," Xiao Ben said as he walked into the room. Xiaolong humphed coldly as he watched Xiao Ben leave. He knew that Xiao Ben was trying to get Xinyan to confess, but he didn't care. If Xinyan and Lin Yi were really fine, then he'd continue to force the Xiao family to let Xinyan be with him. If there was something going on between Xinyan and Lin Yi, then he'd force Xinyan to be with him, but he'd dump her after he'd had enough of her. It was a way to humiliate Lin Yi. No matter what, Xiaolong had already thought of a plan on the way here. He wasn't afraid at all. After Xiao Ben entered the room, he quickly called Xiao Qinlin. He was afraid that Wang Xinyan would ignore him and give him a hard time, so he could only contact Wang Xinyan through Xiao Qinlin. "Brother, what's up?" Xiao Qinlin asked after picking up the phone. Although her relationship with Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben had improved, it was only on the surface. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben had forced Xinyan to marry Xiaolong, and Xiao Qinlin still held a grudge. "Qinlin, Xinyan's in trouble. She's in big trouble," Xiao Ben threatened. "House Kong wants to destroy our Xiao family, and they won't let you and Wang Shubin go." Chapter 27-25. Wang Xinyan fooled around with another man and got caught by Xiaolong. Xiao Ben said angrily, "Don't you know that House Kong is no longer the same as before? House Kang's Kong Ming Ming, Xiaolong's brother, is the 8th elder of the ancient sect Sky Elixir. It'd be a piece of cake for him to destroy us. Hurry and ask Xinyan what's going on, bring her to Xiao family and explain everything." "Xinyan? No way, right?" Qinlin knew that Xinyan liked Lin Yi, but they'd talked about it before, and Xinyan said that she'd only be friends with Lin Yi. She'd marry Xiaolong after graduation, so Qinlin didn't believe it. "There's a misunderstanding, right? Xinyan isn't that kind of girl." "Man, I hope it's a misunderstanding too," So hurry and ask her what's going on and bring her here to explain to Xiaolong and calm him down, Xiao Ben said. Xiaolong recorded it with his phone, and Xinyan did walk into Lin Yi's villa. In actuality, Xiaolong never said anything about destroying the Xiao family. Xiao Ben didn't want to lose House Kong, so he made it up to scare Qin Lin. Xiaolong only said that he wanted to cancel the engagement, but it'd be a huge loss to Xiao family. How could Xiao Ben agree to that? Okay, I'll ask Xinyan what's going on, Qin Lin replied. Xiao Qinlin was successfully fooled. She hung up the call with Xiao Ben and dialed Wang Xinyan's number. Xinyan had just returned to the villa after dinner, and was about to drink the medicine Lin Yi had prepared for her when her mother called. She stood up, confused, and turned to Lin Yi, Mengyao and Yushu. My mom's on the phone, I'll go take it. Okay, but don't wait too long. The medicine's going to get cold soon. Lin Yi nodded, not thinking too much about it. Xinyan nodded and walked into the bedroom to answer the phone. Mom. Xinyan, where are you? Xiao Qinlin asked urgently. Xinyan wanted to say Lin Yi's house but didn't want to. I'm at a classmate's house. Classmate? It's Lin Yi, right? Xiao Qinlin's heart skipped a beat. What's wrong? Xinyan could tell that her mother's tone was off. Xinyan, you're really... What did you promise me? Didn't she say that she was going to marry Xiaolong after graduation? Why did he go to Lin Yi's house? You guys are living together? Qinlin panicked at Xinyan's reply. Did you know that Kang Xiaolong went to the Xiao family today and threatened your second uncle? He's going to destroy the Xiao family, your dad, and me. Ah. Xinyan froze as well, her face turning pale. Kang Xiaolong. He went to the Xiao family to look for second uncle? That's right. Qinlin sighed. Xinyan, tell Mom, is there something between you and Lin Yi? No, he and I are innocent, nothing happened between us. Xinyan was starting to get scared as well, and she quickly said. She didn't have any sense of belonging to the Xiao family, so she didn't care if the Xiao family was destroyed or not. What she was worried about was the safety of her parents as well as Lin Yi's safety. The Sky Elixir sect was a powerful sect, and if they sent out a Sky-class late-phase peak, they could destroy her and Lin Yi with a flick of their fingers. This was what she had been worried about all this time, so she restrained herself and didn't agree to be Lin Yi's girlfriend. She didn't do anything with Lin Yi either. Otherwise, how could Xinyan be fine sleeping with Lin Yi every day? Really? Qinlin let out a breath of relief after hearing Xinyan's words. Yes. Xinyan said without hesitation. That's good. Qinlin was relieved. That's good. Xinyan, I'll drive over to pick you up. Tell me the address and we'll go to the Xiao family and explain things to Kang Xiaolong. There's nothing going on, why would I explain things to him? Didn't we say that we'd only get married after graduation? Why is it so troublesome? Xinyan frowned. She felt that this Kang Xiaolong was a little despicable, using all sorts of tricks to threaten her parents. There's nothing we can do, House Kang is very powerful right now. We have no choice but to go, Qinlin said helplessly. You don't want something to happen to your parents because of this misunderstanding, do you? Come to the entrance of the business district, I'll get ready. Xinyan nodded at her mother's words. She couldn't give Kang Xiaolong an excuse to get angry over something like this, could she? Alright, I'll be right there, Qinlin said. Xinyan sighed after hanging up. She knew that she might not be able to stay in Lin Yi's villa anymore. If she did, Kang Xiaolong wouldn't let her off easily. She really didn't want to move away. She calmed herself down and walked out of the bedroom. Seeing that Lin Yi and the others weren't paying attention to her, Xinyan pretended to be nonchalant. Yao Lin Yi, my mom's here. She's at the entrance of the business district. I'll be back in a bit. Oh, go on then. Be careful, do you need me to send you? Lin Yi didn't think much of it. It's fine, it's not too late. I'll leave after drinking the medicine. Xinyan picked up the medicine on the table and drank it all in one gulp. She waved goodbye to Lin Yi and the others and quickly left the villa. Qinlin rushed to the business district to pick up Xinyan and rushed to Xiao family's villa. Xinyan, why did you go to Lin Yi's house? Isn't that giving Xiaolong something to use against you? Qinlin said helplessly as she drove. Mom, I'm just there as a guest. Xinyan whispered. Hey, you're Xiaolong's fiancé now. Don't you know how to avoid arousing suspicion? It'd be fine if it were any other time, but Xiaolong's in your class now. You're too close to Lin Yi, he won't be happy if he sees you. Qinlin advised. Since you're planning to marry Xiaolong after graduation, don't make him unhappy with these details. Otherwise, you'll fight with him after marriage. Chapter 27-26. If Lin Yi really couldn't reach that level, then she'd kill herself on the night of their wedding. Xiaolong wouldn't be able to vent his anger on anyone else if she died. Qinlin looked at Xinyan, knowing that she was still against the idea of marrying Xiaolong. But time was pressing and she didn't say much. She'd deal with the current situation first. They arrived at the Xiao family's villa, and Qinlin brought Xinyan into the living room to see Xiaolong sitting on the sofa with a pale face. Xinyan, you're here. Hurry up and tell Xiaolong what's going on, alright? Xiao Ben said as he gave Xinyan a look, telling her not to piss Xiaolong off. What do you want me to say? Xinyan glared at Xiaolong, a little angered. She felt that it was embarrassing for him to keep this up. What do I want to say? Xiaolong's face softened when he saw Xinyan. After all, he didn't really want to break off the engagement. He just wanted to scare the Xiao family, so his attitude towards Xinyan was a lot better. You went to Lin Yi's house and he carried you to school in the morning. What do you want to say? I went to play with Yao Yao and Shu, Xinyan explained. She didn't want to, but she didn't want to go against Xiaolong. She didn't want her parents and Lin Yi to be threatened. Play with them? From what I know, they're not medicine majors and you didn't even know them in high school. How are you going to play with them if you don't know them? Xiaolong asked. I met them through Lin Yi. Xinyan didn't hide it. She couldn't hide it, and Xiaolong would know even if she didn't say it. She told the truth. I met them and we got along quite well. I stayed with them. So you're saying that you and Lin Yi don't have that kind of relationship? Xiaolong frowned. Of course not. Xinyan said. I said that I wouldn't do something like that if I married you after graduation. You can say whatever you want, but you don't have any proof. How about this? I can believe you if you want, but we have to test to see if you are a virgin. If you are, then I will believe what you said. Xiaolong said. This was why he was here. No matter what the Xiao family and Xinyan said, it wasn't as important as the actual test. Oh. Xinyan looked at Xiaolong cautiously. You're not going to tell me that you're going to do it yourself, are you? Xiaolong really did want to say that, but Xinyan was looking at him with disdain. He couldn't bring himself to say it. How is that possible? Do I look like such a dirty person to you? I mean, let's go to the hospital for a checkup. Why should I? Xinyan felt that Xiaolong's request was too much. She felt humiliated. Nothing, I just want to prove your innocence. Xiaolong said. I'll do the checkup with you before we get married. What's with the checkup now? Xinyan didn't want to agree to Xiaolong's unreasonable request. Qinlin talked to Xinyan. If she's really a virgin, we won't be afraid of the checkup. Master Kong will be relieved after the checkup. Xiao Ben persuaded. Qinlin didn't have a choice. She pulled Xinyan to the side and whispered. Xinyan, tell me the truth. Are you still a virgin? Of course I am. Xinyan felt hurt. Why didn't her mother believe her anymore? If that's the case, then let's go for a checkup. Otherwise this won't end so easily. Qinlin persuaded. Alright, I agree. Xinyan clenched her teeth, tears falling uncontrollably. She felt wronged. Why did she have to marry Xiaolong? Why did he have to say whatever he wanted? Why was she so unlucky? Why did she become a sacrifice for her family? She was born into a Xiao family that didn't bring her much happiness or enjoyment, and yet she had to carry more pressure and burden than anyone else. Xinyan felt dizzy, angry, and tired. Her vision darkened and she fell to the ground. Xinyan, what's wrong? Qinlin paled at the sight of Xinyan fainting. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben's expressions changed as well. They didn't care about Xinyan's life or death. They only cared about Xinyan's marriage and House Kang's support for the Xiao family. They couldn't allow anything to happen to Xinyan. Xiaolong froze as well. This Xinyan couldn't take a blow, could she? Why did she faint after a few sentences? Wasn't it just a checkup to see if she was a virgin? Was it necessary? Was she guilty? Get her to the hospital and check if she's a virgin. Xiaolong said, not forgetting to add on to his previous request. And so, Qinlin quickly carried Xinyan and carried her to the car outside the villa, heading straight to Donghai's first hospital. Xiaolong sat in Panhu's car and followed behind, followed by Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben's car. Donghai's first hospital had shares in both Wang Shubin and House Kang's shares. Both sides didn't have a lot of shares, but they were both hospitals they trusted, so Xiaolong wasn't worried about the hospital cheating. After all, this hospital was very legitimate, and with House Kang's shares, Wang Shubin wouldn't be able to influence the results of the checkup. Xinyan was given a full-body checkup, and the result was that she wasn't sick. Her body was just weak and she fainted because she was short of breath. She didn't have any illness. As for whether she was a virgin or not, the checkup was also done. The result was that Xinyan was still a virgin. This result put Xiaolong at ease and he stopped making a fuss. He still looked down on Linny a little. They were living in the same villa and he really went to play with Mengyao and Yushu. Did Linny really not get what he wanted? From the looks of it, the results of the checkup couldn't be fake. But Xinyan fainted all of a sudden and Xiaolong was a little worried. When would she wake up? Xiaolong planned to apologize to Xinyan when she woke up. After all, the checkup showed that she was still a virgin. He really did wrong her. Chapter 27:27. If he succeeded, it would be the heaviest blow to Lin Yi. Xiaolong wasn't afraid of Lin Yi anymore, so he dared to go against Lin Yi face to face. At night, Lin Yi didn't see Xinyan come back. He was curious and called her, wanting to ask if she was coming back to sleep tonight. Lin Yi was about to hang up when a man's voice came from the other side of the phone. Lin Yi, why are you calling Xinyan? Xiaolong heard Xinyan's phone ringing, so he took it out from her backpack and saw that it was Lin Yi calling. He was pissed. The test results showed that Xinyan was still a virgin, but Xiaolong felt that Lin Yi had other intentions towards her. Xiaolong? Lin Yi paused when he heard Xiaolong's voice. Why is it you? Where's Xinyan? Xinyan is with me, of course. We're sleeping together tonight. You don't have to worry about her. Xiaolong said coldly and hung up. Hello. Lin Yi didn't think that Xiaolong would hang up without even giving him a chance to speak. But why was Xinyan with Xiaolong? Didn't she go out with her mother? Could it be that Xinyan went to find Xiaolong and lied to him that she was going to find her mother? Lin Yi shook his head at the thought. Xinyan wasn't a girl who was good at lying, and there was no reason for her to lie to him. Could it be that Xiaolong kidnapped her? Otherwise, why would Xinyan's phone be in Xiaolong's hands? Lin Yi dialed Xinyan's phone again, but it only rang twice before it was hung up. Xiaolong probably didn't want to answer Lin Yi's call. Lin Yi frowned. He wanted to call Xinyan's mother, Xiao Qinlin, but remembered that Xinyan went out with her and was with Xiaolong right now. Would Madame Wang tell him about Xinyan's whereabouts if he called her? Lin Yi had no choice but to call a number he hadn't called in a long time. The call connected, but the person on the other side was silent. Lin Yi didn't speak, and neither did the person on the other side. Princess? Lin Yi asked, testing the waters. Do you need something or to chat? Hacker Princess complained. If you need something, I'll hang up. If you want to chat, I'll chat with you for a bit. Ugh. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly at the princess' words. He'd contacted her to locate Wang Xinyan, but the princess was clearly pissed at him. He'd contacted her once when he was looking for Guan Xin, but he hadn't contacted her since. It was no wonder she wasn't happy. Okay, heroing brothery, tell me, what do you need? Hacker Princess knew that Lin Yi must have something important to talk to her about, so she didn't continue to throw a tantrum and asked directly. Help me locate a phone number, Lin Yi said. The number is, oh. The sound of typing came from Hacker Princess's side. After a while, Hacker Princess said, at Donghai City's first hospital. Hospital? Lin Yi froze. Why was Xinyan at the hospital? It seemed that Kang Mingming's words couldn't be trusted. There must be something hidden here. Yeah. Hacker Princess said. It's fine if you don't believe me. Who said I don't believe you? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I believe you. It's been so many years since you came back to see me and Sister Seven. Hacker Princess's voice was a little bitter. Forget it, you go back to your work. Lin Yi had his reasons as well. Ever since his Shifu left, he'd followed his Shifu's instructions. Other than learning from old Lin in West Star Mountain, he'd been training outside. He hadn't really rested all these years and he hadn't really taken a break until this last mission. As a result, he hadn't gone back to Island X yet. The princess's words reminded him of his childhood. He had two followers in his training team, Xiao Qi and Hacker Princess. It seemed that he should find some time to go back and see them. It's fine. Go back to your work. Hacker Princess smiled as if she didn't care, but Lin Yi could hear the hope and expectation in her tone. After a while, I will go back. Lin Yi wouldn't make promises easily, but this time he gave a promise. For Hacker Princess, Lin Yi didn't know what kind of attitude he should have when they met again. When he was young, Xiao Qi and the princess could be regarded as childhood sweethearts. Over the years, from the tone of Hacker Princess's phone call, Lin Yi could feel that Hacker Princess had a good impression of him. However, this good impression might disappear after the two met. The feelings in his childhood became a permanent memory with the growth of age and the passage of time. In the past, Lin Yi once thought that he would keep taking missions and doing missions in his life until one day when he was old, he would adopt a child like old Lin and repeat his life. At this time, Lin Yi also didn't want to face feelings the most because he knew that his job could cost him his life at any time. Feelings were just a luxury for him. However, after coming to Songshan City, Lin Yi's life trajectory changed. It didn't seem to be what he imagined. He gradually had his own life, so Lin Yi accepted Yuning. And now, when he faced Hacker Princess again, Lin Yi finally found that he could face her directly. However, he was worried that the feelings of childhood would no longer exist. When they meet again, they would become ordinary friends. Meeting is not as good as reminiscing. However, even so, this matter can't always be avoided. There must be an end. Childhood sweethearts can only stay in childhood memories. Ah. Hacker Princess was slightly stunned. She didn't expect Lin Yi to say this. In the past, Lin Yi never mentioned coming back. However, before Hacker Princess could say anything, Lin Yi had already hung up. Lin Yi was worried about Wang Xinyan's situation, so he didn't greet Hacker Princess. He said goodbye to Chu Mingyao and left the villa, rushing to the first hospital of Donghai City. Chapter 27-28. Wang Xinyan's room was a super large ICU, and the outer room was for family members to rest. Lin Yi walked in and everyone froze. Lin Yi? Why are you here? Xiaolong didn't expect Lin Yi to come, and wondered how Lin Yi found his way here. Wang Xinyan's sick, so I can't come? Lin Yi looked at Xiaolong and walked into the inner room. Wait, don't go in. Xiaolong stood in front of Lin Yi, trying to stop him from entering the inner room. What's wrong with you? Lin Yi looked at Xiaolong. I'm here to visit a classmate, do I need your permission? You. Xiaolong didn't expect Lin Yi to be so domineering. He just told Lin Yi about Kang Ming. Why wasn't Lin Yi afraid at all? Go away. Lin Yi grabbed Xiaolong by the collar and dragged him to the side. He pushed the door open and walked into Wang Xinyan's room. You. Xiaolong was furious. He turned to Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben, wanting them to say something, but the two of them were avoiding his gaze. They hated Lin Yi, but they couldn't afford to piss off Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't even give a damn about Xiaolong, so wouldn't they be humiliated if they went up to him? Xiaolong saw that Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben were cowards, and he had no choice but to follow Lin Yi into the room. He saw Lin Yi grabbing Wang Xinyan's hand, and his eyes were spitting fire. He ran over and pushed Lin Yi's hand away. Lin Yi, don't go too far. Wang Xinyan is my fiancé, this is something the Xiao family has acknowledged, what right do you have to interfere? Let me tell you, I'm not a pushover. Our Kang family is no longer the old Kang family. My younger brother, Kang Ming, is now the 8th elder of the Heavenly Elixir School, an ancient sect. 8th elder? I'll give you a slap. Lin Yi was checking Xinyan's body when Xiaolong interrupted him. He was furious and slapped Xiaolong's face. You dare hit me? Xiaolong looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Aren't you afraid that my brother will deal with you? You want to compare ancient background with me? I'm not afraid to tell you that my little wife is the future palace master of the Ice Palace. You have the background of an ancient sect, but who doesn't? Don't bring that up all the time, go find him if you can. Lin Yi said coldly. There was a limit to his patience. This Xiaolong was usually very active, and Lin Yi didn't want to have a direct conflict with the Heavenly Elixir School, so he didn't bother with him. But today Xinyan fainted out of nowhere, and Lin Yi didn't believe that it had nothing to do with Xiaolong. Look. Xiaolong suddenly remembered Xiao, the girl who almost set him up when he ate with her last time. His mouth twitched. He knew about Xiao's situation, but he didn't think about it before. Now he finally understood why Lin Yi wasn't afraid. He found himself a good wife. His brother was an elder, but his wife was the vice palace master, the future palace master. Her background wasn't any weaker than his. Why did Xinyan faint? Was it because of you? Lin Yi frowned. Xinyan's body condition was a little better than it had been yesterday, especially after the potion. She was still weak, but fainting shouldn't have been the cause of her fainting, it had to be something else. Xiaolong didn't expect Lin Yi to be so good, seeing through the cause of Xinyan's fainting so quickly. It was a misunderstanding. Lin Yi was just guessing, but he had a guilty conscience. He thought that Lin Yi had confirmed it. You really did it? Lin Yi was even more certain after seeing Xiaolong's reaction. His face darkened. I didn't. I saw Xinyan with you, so I went to the Xiao family. Is that wrong? She's my fiancée. Xiaolong was a little scared now. Using Kang Ming's background to scare Lin Yi didn't work. He was a little scared now. Slap. Lin Yi slapped Xiaolong's face, knocking him to the ground. Oh, I didn't like you, so I knocked you out. What's wrong with that? Xiaolong didn't hear Lin Yi's last sentence. If he did, he'd probably faint again. Lin Yi carried Xinyan and walked out of the room. Xinyan's body was fine, and there was no point in staying here. It was better to bring her back. With Xiaolong unconscious, Lin Yi carried Xinyan out of the room under the shocked eyes of Xiao Ji, Xiao Ben and Xiao Qinlin. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben pouted, wanting to say something but didn't dare. They watched as Lin Yi left, not daring to say anything. Xiao Qinlin, on the other hand, just sighed faintly, wondering if she had done something wrong. She shouldn't have forced her daughter to marry Xiaolong. But if she didn't let Xinyan marry Xiaolong, what would happen to the Xiao family? What would happen to her and her husband's medicine company? Xiaolong's background wasn't to be underestimated. But now it seemed like Lin Yi wasn't afraid of Xiaolong at all. After Xiaolong exposed his background, he still dared to knock Xiaolong out. Was Lin Yi being impulsive or was he confident? Qinlin wasn't sure about the pros and cons of this. It seemed like Xinyan liked being with him, didn't she? As Xinyan's mother, Qinlin naturally wanted her daughter to be happy. Her heart was leaning towards Lin Yi, but she didn't know if Lin Yi was a match for House Kong. And so, Qinlin didn't stop them. She left with Lin Yi and her daughter. Xiaolong had fainted, and his fiancée was taken away by someone else. He couldn't blame anyone else. Lin Yi drove Xinyan back to the villa. Xinyan had fainted and hadn't woken up yet, so Lin Yi didn't want to carry her in train. He asked Mingyao and Yushu to help her change into her pajamas and slept upstairs. It was a quiet night. The next morning, Lin Yi was preparing breakfast when he saw Mingyao, Yushu, and Xinyan come downstairs together. Xinyan wasn't sleeping? This situation surprised Lin Yi. He was used to Xinyan sleeping all the way till noon, so he was surprised to see her wake up so early in the morning. Xinyan, you're up? Lin Yi asked. Yeah. Xinyan nodded shyly. But I'm still a little sleepy. I don't have much energy, but I'm up now. Chapter 27-29. It had to be the medicine, but Xinyan drank it every day and it didn't seem to get any better. How come today? Lin Yi walked over and held Xinyan's wrist, checking it carefully. But Lin Yi let out a surprised, eh? After inspecting it. Xinyan seemed to be in a good condition today. She was still weak compared to a normal person but much better than yesterday. It would be a good sign if this continued. What's wrong? Lin Yi? Lin Yi's surprised Xinyan. Is there a problem? Nothing, just a little better than yesterday. Lin Yi said, let's eat breakfast. Yeah, okay. Xinyan was happy to hear that her condition was better. She sat at the table. Right, what happened between you and Xiaolong yesterday? Lin Yi hadn't asked Xinyan about what happened yesterday. Yesterday. Xinyan was embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Shu, tell me. Mingyao could tell that Xinyan was a little shy, so she said to Yushu. She'd already told Yushu about Xinyan's situation this morning, so she only needed Yushu to relay it to her. Oh, actually, that idiot Xiaolong saw Xinyan's sis enter the villa and suspected that she wasn't a virgin. He went to the Xiao family and made a scene, wanting to take her to the hospital for a checkup. Xinyan was so embarrassed and angry that she fainted, Yushu said. Lin Yi was speechless. Lin Yi didn't know what to say about Xiaolong's actions. But thinking about it, Xinyan was his fiancée, so it was reasonable for him to make such a request. I knocked him out too, so it's a draw. Ah. Xinyan was shocked. She didn't know that Xiaolong was knocked out by Lin Yi. How did Lin Yi get into a fight with Xiaolong? She thought that her mother had brought her home after she fainted yesterday, but Lin Yi had knocked Xiaolong out instead. Did he snatch me back? It's fine, don't worry. Even if the Sky Elixir sect is an ancient sect, they wouldn't stand up for Kong Ming Ming over something as small as this. Lin Yi comforted her with a smile. Oh. Xinyan nodded and started eating, but she was still a little worried. She was afraid that he was just trying to comfort her. Actually, Lin Yi wasn't worried at all. As far as Lin Yi was concerned, Kong Xiaolong wasn't even as strong as Zhong Pingliang. As long as he didn't kill him, the Heavenly Elixir sect wouldn't stand up for him so easily. At most, Kong Ming Ming would bring a Sky-class master over, and Lin Yi could assassinate him. If that didn't work, there was still a trap. After a while, Han Jingjing also arrived and everyone stopped talking about this topic. After breakfast, everyone left the villa and went to school. What surprised Lin Yi was that Xiaolong didn't come to school today. The 2 slaps that Lin Yi gave him yesterday weren't that heavy, and it couldn't have caused too much damage to Xiaolong, so he didn't come to school because of the slaps. In fact, Xiaolong didn't come today because he felt embarrassed. After he woke up, he didn't say goodbye to Xiao Ji, Xiao Ben or Xiao Qinlin. He stormed out of the ward and went straight to House Kong. He wanted to call Kong Ming Ming and ask for his help. Xiaolong felt that he had lost a lot of face this time. He had to find a way to get back at him. Bro, why are you calling me in the morning? Aren't you in school? Kong Ming Ming was a little surprised to receive the call from Xiaolong, but he wasn't as guarded against Xiaolong as before. In the past, the 2 of them were fighting for the position of young master of House Kong, but now, Kong Ming Ming didn't care about that position anymore. Their relationship had returned to normal. Xiaolong, your brother has lost a lot of face this time. You have to help me. Xiaolong said and told Kang Mingming everything that happened yesterday in detail. Kang Mingming listened to Xiaolong's words and fell silent. He was angry, but he knew that it wasn't realistic for him to leave the Sky Elixir sect and go after Lin Yi. Although he was a Sky class master, he was just a refiner. He didn't have any attacking abilities. He didn't think that he could do anything to Lin Yi. As for bringing a master out, Kang Ming knew that he hadn't established himself in the Sky Elixir sect yet to receive such treatment. Although he appeared to be very strong and powerful to the outside world, that was only to the outside world. Within the Heavenly Elixir sect, although he had become the 8th elder, he did not have his own people. He was just an elder without any followers. He was respected by others, but he could not order others to do things. Bro, what do you want me to do about this? I'm so far away from you, there's nothing I can do to help you. Kang Mingming hesitated and said, I'm a newbie in the Sky Elixir sect. I'm an elder, but I can't leave easily. Even if I leave, can I help you teach Lin Yi a lesson? Xiaolong calmed down after listening to Kang Mingming's words, but he didn't want to give up. Then can't you bring a Sky class master to scare Lin Yi? Not a Sky class late phase peak, even a Sky class mid phase is fine. Bro, do you think it's that easy to mobilize a Sky class master? I may be an elder, but I don't have my own followers. Besides, Sky class masters usually only listen to the elders, the head, the young master, and the grand elder. The other elders can only mobilize Earth class disciples. They don't have the authority to mobilize Sky class masters. Kang Mingming smiled bitterly and explained, Bro, don't you understand? You can use the Sky Elixir sect's name, but it's too early for me to give you any real support. I don't have that ability yet. I understand. Xiaolong was a little dejected. No wonder Lin Yi wasn't afraid of him. Perhaps Lin Yi had predicted this from the start. But it was no wonder that Lin Yi's mistress was the vice sect master of the Ice Palace. The rules in the ancient sects were probably the same, so it wasn't surprising that Lin Yi knew about it. Chapter 2730. Most elders of the Sky Elixir sect had their own pride. Even if they respected Sky Silkworm, they wouldn't run around like a servant. So, Kang Mingming decided to become a lackey for Sky Silkworm as an elder in exchange for their support. Then he'd be able to bring people to deal with Lin Yi. That was his ultimate goal. This was the only way for him to rise to the top. Otherwise, he'd have to stay in the Sky Elixir sect for dozens of years to raise his own people. Alright. Xiaolong sighed. Bro, don't worry too much, I can't go, but I'm good at picking up girls. Kang Mingming said. I feel that there's no need for conflict between you and Lin Yi. As long as you don't go against him, he won't hit you for no reason, right? Then yesterday, Xiaolong said. You left the school yesterday and it was you who made Xinyan faint. It's normal for Lin Yi to hit you. Kang Mingming said. But if you were in school, Lin Yi wouldn't go overboard. You just need to chase Xinyan. If he dares to cause trouble for you, tell the teacher and boss bye. Tell the teacher? Kang Mingming sweated. He wasn't an elementary schooler anymore. Why would he tell the teacher after getting hit? But thinking about how Boss Bai didn't like conflicts between students, it was the most appropriate thing for him to do. Xiaolong nodded. That's true. You'll have to start with Xinyan. You're always going against Lin Yi and it's hard for me. Kang Mingming said helplessly. After the excitement of becoming the 8th elder, Kang Mingming realized that the 8th elder was just a name. It was enough to scare people, but it wasn't enough to help Xiaolong teach Lin Yi a lesson. So, use my name to scare people. But I used your name to scare Lin Yi yesterday, but Lin Yi wasn't scared at all. He even said that his wife is the future leader of the Ice Palace. Who doesn't have an ancient background? Xiaolong said helplessly. It wasn't that he didn't want to use the tiger's skin, but Lin Yi could do it too. What Xiaolong didn't know was that Lin Yi didn't usually mention Xiao Xiao to people. It wasn't because of his pride, but because of his pain, a goal that he worked hard for. He only brought it up in front of Xiaolong because he didn't have a choice. He didn't want to start a conflict with the Sky Elixir sect, so he limited the conflict to House Kang. With Xiao Xiao around, he believed that Kang Mingming wouldn't dare do anything rash. As expected, Kang Mingming fell silent after hearing about this. I would have forgotten about this if you didn't mention it. If the Ice Palace were to interfere, I wouldn't be able to teach Lin Yi a lesson. I don't know the relationship between the Sky Elixir sect and the Ice Palace, but they don't seem to be on good terms at first, but lately they seem to be getting along. What do you mean? Xiaolong didn't understand, but he didn't really care about ancient matters. Never mind, they're fine. You can't come and teach Linny a lesson for now. I'll think of something else first. Xiaolong didn't know what to say. Don't worry too much, I'm trying to find a backer for House Kong. Once I get my hands on silkworm transformation, we'll be strong. I wonder if he's gay or not. Kong Ming thought evilly. Yes, Xiaoming, House Kong is counting on you. Xiaolong remembered that it was Kong Xiaoming who had helped him establish the hidden house of Yu. He suddenly felt that his brother wasn't an idiot. At the very least, he was much better than him in terms of dirty tricks. Linny was puzzled by Xinyan's behavior today. Xinyan yawned, but she didn't fall asleep. She drank her medicine every day, but why wasn't she sleeping today? At noon, Xinyan received a call from her mother, Xiao Qinlin. Xinyan had been wanting to call her mother since morning, but Linny had snatched her back in front of her mother yesterday. She didn't know how to bring it up to her mother, but Linny had snatched her back in front of her mother yesterday. Now that her mother was calling, Xinyan had no choice but to answer. Mom? Xinyan said carefully. Xinyan, are you all right? Xiao Qinlin had mixed feelings and didn't know what to say. I'm fine, Mom, I'm sorry. Xinyan didn't know why she was apologizing. She didn't even know what she was apologizing for. Xinyan, don't worry too much. You have your own path to choose. Your dad and I talked about it last night, and if things don't work out, we'll shut down the company and find a place to hide. The Sky Elixir sect might not be able to find us. Xiao Qinlin didn't say it out loud, but Xinyan understood what her mother was trying to say. Xinyan's tears welled up in an instant. Sadness, helplessness, or joy. Xinyan had mixed feelings at this moment. Her mother finally understood her, but how could Xinyan bear to let them live a life of hiding? The company was her father's blood, sweat, and tears. How could he just shut it down like that? Wang Xinyan didn't want her parents to compromise because of her. Well, it's okay. I'll talk to Kong Xiaolong and tell him to stop harassing you guys. I'll marry him when I graduate too. Xinyan took a deep breath. She didn't change her mind. After graduation, Lin Yi would either be stronger than the Sky Elixir sect, or he'd leave quietly, or he'd live in seclusion with her parents again. Either way, she couldn't let her parents hide because of her. That wasn't something she wanted to see. All right, think about it. Call me when you've made your decision. I'll support you, Xiao Qinlin said. Okay. Thank you, Mom. Xinyan sighed in relief. In the afternoon, Lin Yi could tell that Xinyan's mood was a lot better than before. After Lin Yi gave her the medicine, she walked into Lin Yi's room to help Lin Yi with his training. That night, Wang Xinyan slept peacefully. The next morning, however, something strange happened that startled Lin Yi. At the same time, Lin Yi started to wonder about something. Chapter 2731. From the current situation, Lin Yi could confirm one thing: Xinyan's lethargy had something to do with him. Xinyan didn't have this lethargy problem in the past, not even when she was in high school, not even when she was in university. It only started when she started living in the villa. He'd be training with Xinyan in his arms every night, and she'd start to get lethargic, and it was getting worse and worse. This continued until the night he went to the tomb, when he didn't sleep with Xinyan. The next day, Xinyan went to school like normal, and it was the same yesterday. Xinyan was back to normal when he didn't train with her in his arms. These messy thoughts connected all the clues together, and Lin Yi came to a conclusion: Xinyan's illness was caused by his training. In other words, the fragrance on Xinyan's body was a necessity for her to survive, and now that he'd sucked it away, Xinyan's body was rapidly weakening. She'd become listless and had to rely on forced sleep to replenish her energy. Sleep was an important part of the body's self-protection system. A third of a person's life was spent sleeping, and when Xinyan ran out of stamina, she relied on sleep to replenish her energy. He didn't connect all of this together, but today he was sure that this great way of training was actually harming Xinyan. But training wasn't as important as Xinyan's health. Lin Yi would rather level up slowly than let anything happen to Xinyan, and so Lin Yi decided that he wouldn't use Xinyan to train anymore. It was a difficult decision. In the morning, Lin Yi carried Xinyan to school, and he bumped into Xiaolong at the door. He was at school today. Lin Yi, what are you doing? Why is Xinyan unconscious again? What did you do to her? Xiaolong wanted to keep a low profile, but seeing Lin Yi carrying Xinyan, he couldn't keep a low profile anymore. A surge of anger rose in his heart. Isn't it because of you? Lin Yi said coldly as he looked at Xiaolong. What? Xiaolong choked on Lin Yi's words. How is that possible? Don't lie to me, I've already asked around. Xinyan was perfectly fine yesterday, waking up and coming to school. How could she have gotten mad at me? It's relapsed, Lin Yi said. You. Xiaolong was speechless at Lin Yi's words, but he didn't have a reason to retort. He walked back to his seat and sat down. Lin Yi put Xinyan on a chair and took out a book, but he wasn't in the mood to read it. His mind was on Xinyan's problem. Xinyan's body could release a fragrance that was useful for training, and if he absorbed too much of it, Xinyan would become weak. But here came the problem. Didn't Xinyan emit her own fragrance? Was there no loss? Or could it be that the normal loss was within an acceptable range, and his training sped up the loss of Xinyan's fragrance? Lin Yi had never come across a situation like this. He planned to ask Boss Bai later. After class, Lin Yi went to find Boss Bai directly. You're looking for me because of Xinyan's constitution, right? Seeing Lin Yi pulling him aside in a hurry, Boss Bai knew that Lin Yi had a secret to talk about. Let's not talk about constitution for now. Master Bai, I have something more important to talk to you about. Lin Yi said. Xinyan has been sleeping a lot lately, you've seen it, right? Yes, what's wrong? Boss Bai looked at Lin Yi strangely. Isn't it because you and her were too late? Lin Yi sweated at Boss Bai's words. Master Bai, what are you thinking? There's nothing going on between Xinyan and I think there's another reason why she's sleeping. Another reason? What do you mean? You mean there's something wrong with her body? Boss Bai was someone who knew medicine after all. He figured out the key point immediately and asked. You could put it that way. It's a long story. Lin Yi told Boss Bai about how he found the special scent on Wang Xinyan's body during the military training, and how he could use it to train. Now that Lin Yi was treating Boss Bai as his other master, he didn't hide anything from him. Oh, Wang Xinyan has this ability? Boss Bai was a little surprised. Could it be because of her special constitution? It has something to do with her constitution? What kind of constitution is it? Lin Yi was dazed and asked quickly. I don't know what her constitution is exactly, but according to my research in the ancient books, this phenomenon should be caused by the test bead that can't recognize her constitution. Boss Bai said. This kind of constitution should be a special constitution beyond the 5 elements. This kind of special case is extremely rare. Oh? Special constitution? After hearing Boss Bai's words, Lin Yi couldn't help but be a bit shocked. There are special constitutions beyond the 5 elements? Yes, there are some special constitutions, but they are relatively rare among cultivators. Most of them exist among spirit beasts, whose attributes are beyond the 5 elements. Boss Bai said, for example, wind, thunder, healing, and so on. These are special existences among spirit beasts, not the cultivators of the 5 elements. I see. Lin Yi nodded, but he did think of the purple lightning beast. It should be a spirit beast of the wind attribute? As for Sun Jingyi, he didn't know if she also had a special constitution beyond the 5 elements. Her mental cultivation method was also very special, so she shouldn't be a cultivator within the 5 elements. So, Wang Xinyan's situation that you mentioned should be the manifestation of this special constitution. I don't know the details, but you gave me a general direction. I will pay attention. Boss Bai said, the most important thing now is to stop using the fragrance on her to train. Let's see how it goes. Yes, that's what I've decided. Lin Yi nodded. Then I'll leave the rest to you, Mr. Bai. It's no trouble. I'm your teacher. It's my duty to answer your questions. Boss Bai laughed. Chapter 2732. He and Lin Yi walked back to the classroom together. This made Yupanhu very jealous. He was envious that Lin Yi could receive personal guidance from Boss Bai. Heavenly Elixir Faction. Kang Ming had just become the 8th elder and refined the bone and marrow washing pill. This was supposed to be a happy event, but something big happened. Xianjun Ancestor failed to refine the bone and marrow washing pill. Impossible. How is this possible? With my alchemy skills, how could I fail? Xianjun Ancestor furrowed his brows as he looked at the black ashes in the cauldron. He couldn't understand why Kang Xiaoming, who he taught, could concoct the bone and marrow cleansing pill. Why couldn't he do it? However, after the second attempt, Xianjun Ancestor gave up. It was still a failure. This meant that it wasn't because of his mistake. It was because he couldn't refine it. Could it be that the bone and marrow washing pill that Kang Ming refined had no effect on him? Xianjun Ancestor had no choice. He could only give Kang Ming a large amount of true qi replenishing treasures and let him refine another bone and marrow washing pill. As expected by Xianjun Ancestor, Kang Xiaoming succeeded. Although the quality wasn't that great, it was a success. This time Xianjun Ancestor witnessed the whole process. It was no different from when he refined the pill. However, Kang Ming succeeded and Xianjun Ancestor failed. Something is wrong. There must be something wrong with this pill formula. Although Xianjun Ancestor didn't find the problem with the pill formula, after thinking about it, he could only attribute the problem to the pill formula. Otherwise, why was Kang Ming able to refine the bone and marrow washing pill, but he couldn't? However, he was sure that Kang Xiaoming had indeed refined a marrow and bone cleansing pill. After consuming it, the effect was exactly the same as the one recorded in the ancient books. Xianzhen Ancestor could feel it. This time, the bone and marrow washing pill wasn't consumed by Xianzhen Ancestor. Instead, it was sent away carefully. However, Xianzhen Ancestor didn't give up and called Kang Ming over. Xiaoming, tell me in detail. Where did this pill formula come from? Xianzhen Ancestor didn't know the origin of this pill formula. He didn't think much about it before, but now that he failed, he wanted to ask about it. This pill formula is... Kang Ming didn't dare hide anything. He told Xianzhen Ancestor about the kidnapping of Guan Xian and Lin Yi extorting the formula. Although it wasn't honorable, it wasn't a secret. Even if Kang Ming didn't say it, Xian Ancestor could get the answer from Sky Dan Ancestor. What? Lin Yi gave you this pill formula? Xianzhen Ancestor's eyes widened. He couldn't believe it. The conflict between Xianzhen Ancestor and Lin Yi a few days ago couldn't be hidden from Xianzhen Ancestor. Xianzhen Ancestor was quite dissatisfied with what Little 1 and Little 11 did, but fortunately Boss Bai and his disciple Lin Yi were fine. Even Han Jingjing returned to the classroom alive and well. This made Xianzhen Ancestor sigh in relief. Yes, could it be that this pill formula is fake? Kang Ming more or less guessed the truth from Xianzhen Ancestor's tone and what happened before. I can't say it's fake, but there should be a problem. Xianzhen Ancestor said, Lin Yi is big, is Boss Bai's disciple. Then it's very likely that this pill formula was given to him by Boss Bai, or rather Boss Bai changed it and gave it to him. Although this pill formula can be used to refine the bone and marrow cleansing pill, after taking it, you can't refine other bone and marrow cleansing pills. Do you understand what I mean? Xianzhen Ancestor didn't know that Lin Yi only knew Boss Bai when he was in university, so he thought that Lin Yi knew Boss Bai a long time ago. Naturally, he attributed the source of the pill formula to Boss Bai. I understand. So you failed and only I can refine it? Although Kang Ming was surprised, he was overjoyed. What did it mean to be a rare commodity? If he was the only one who could refine the marrow and bone remodeling Dan, then his status in the Heavenly Elixir School would rise. At that time, whoever needed this Dan could only beg him to refine it. In this way he would become a very important person. You can say that. Xianzhen Ancestor nodded. So, I will give you a mission. Since you know Lin Yi, when you have time, go back and visit him. Tell him the flaws of this pill formula, and then try to exchange for the real pill formula. You can use other good things to exchange for it. If you really can't get it, then contact me. Xianzhen Ancestor's way of doing things was completely different from Xianzhen Ancestor's. Xianzhen Ancestor's first thought was to rob, but Xianzhen Ancestor thought of equivalent exchange. If he couldn't get it back, he was prepared to put down his pride and personally call Boss Bai to ask for the pill formula. Of course, this was something he would only do if he really couldn't do it. He wasn't as thick-skinned as Xianzhen Ancestor, so this was his last resort. As for why he needed the pill formula for the bone and marrow cleansing pill, it was because this pill formula was too important. Not only was it effective for the inheritors of the ethereal attribute, it was also very useful for ordinary cultivators. This thing was much stronger than the foundation building pill. The foundation building pill was actually a branch of the bone and marrow cleansing pill. It was also used to refine one's physique, but it wasn't as powerful as the bone and marrow cleansing pill. Therefore, as long as a cultivator took the bone and marrow cleansing pill, they could improve their physique and speed up their cultivation. This was a really good thing. If an ordinary person ate it, it could prolong their lifespan. If a cultivator ate it, it could strengthen their physique. If this thing was refined, it would definitely be in short supply in the cultivator's market square. The reason why Ancestor Xianzhen wanted to refine it and sell it was because, although the 5-element sect seemed to be powerful, they were short on cultivation resources. However, it was no wonder. Any sect that had been passed down for thousands of years would run out of resources if they didn't replenish it. Xianzhen Ancestor was afraid that the 5-element sect wouldn't be able to last until the day the Heavenly Island opened, so he had to start making some preparations. Chapter 2733. Plus, in the ancient sects there weren't many rich people. He had to continue selling the pills to the hidden level to get more money. As for the hidden level, other than the chi gathering pill, the only other pill that was needed was the bone and marrow cleansing pill. Next, Patriarch Xianzhen planned to refine a few chi gathering pills and bone and marrow cleansing pills to auction at the cultivators' trade fair. Of course, at that time he wouldn't be able to concoct the chi gathering pill and the bone cleansing pill like he was doing now. He would have to rest for half a year before concocting another one. Otherwise, if he used a heavenly treasure to replenish his Jin Qi, the value of the heavenly treasure would far exceed the value of a rank 3 pill. Unless it was absolutely necessary like now, Xianzhen Patriarch wouldn't do something like this. Will he agree to it if I go and trade with him? Kang Mingming was very happy and excited to be able to go to Donghai City to find Xiaolong. Plus, the mission that Xianzhen gave him was something that the Sky Elixir sect could only dream of. If he completed it, his position in the sect would be solidified. If he could get recognized by the Xianzhen ancestor and be accepted as a disciple, then he would have a meteoric rise. Kang Mingming could tell that the Xianzhen ancestor's position in the sect was even higher than Tiandi and Ren. He didn't know who he was, but it would be a great honor to be a disciple of such a person. However, Kang Mingming was a bit worried. He had a grudge with Lin Yi. Putting his brother Xiaolong aside, he had harmed Xiaofan and kidnapped Guan Exa. These two things made Lin Yi feel bad about him. If it wasn't for Right 13, he would have been killed by Lin Yi. Would he be able to get anything good out of this? Although he wouldn't be killed by Lin Yi now that he was a member of the Sky Elixir sect, it was very possible that he would get beaten up by Lin Yi if the negotiations broke down. Didn't Xiaolong get beaten up too? Let's see what you have to trade with him, Xianzhen Ancestor said. Ancestor Xianzhen said, I will discuss the specifics with heaven and earth, then you can prepare. Listen to my orders at all times. Yes. Kang Mingming had no choice. He could only reply. The reason why Patriarch Xianzhen didn't use Patriarch Xuanzhen's people to find people from the Heavenly Elixir sect was that he didn't want the disciples of the Five Elements sect to have conflicts with Boss Bai and Lin Yi again. They were all from the same sect, so why did they have to make things so bad? No matter what, let's ask him what he wants first. We'll try our best to satisfy them. If we can't, we'll find a way to replace them with something else. Ancestor Xianzhen said. He was a person who knew how to repay kindness. Lin Yi's pill formula was crucial to his future plan. Moreover, he could continue to refine pills and medicine to sell, so Xianzhen felt that it was only natural to exchange items. This was completely different from Patriarch Xuanzhen's idea. However, Kang Mingming was a little unhappy. He was more inclined to the Heavenly Elixir sect sending a few experts to rob Lin Yi. In this way he could avenge his personal grievances and teach Lin Yi a lesson. Or even kill Lin Yi. It could all be blamed on the Heavenly Elixir sect. But Patriarch Xianzhen didn't have such plans. Patriarch Xianzhen. I know that Lin Yi is stubborn. If you exchange things with him, he will definitely ask for an exorbitant price. To deal with people like him, you should use force. Kang Mingming hesitated for a moment and said, otherwise this task will be very difficult to complete. Use force? Patriarch Xianzhen frowned. What was the difference between this and Patriarch Xuanzhen's method? Moreover, Patriarch Xianzhen wouldn't gain anything by using force. Why were these cultivators so impetuous now? Why didn't they follow the rules? Yes, directly send 2 experts with the strength of the peak late stage of heaven stage to ask for the pill formula from Lin Yi. If he doesn't give it, then kill him. Let's see if he gives it or not. Kang Mingming said. Patriarch Xianzhen was a little speechless. In his heart he was disappointed with Kang Mingming. Originally, seeing that Kang Mingming had worked hard to refine pills under his guidance, Patriarch Xianzhen had a good impression of Kang Mingming. But now he felt that this child was vicious. Patriarch Xianzhen would definitely like him as a disciple, but he didn't like this kind of disciple, so he just said lightly, no need, just do as I say. If you do well, I will introduce you to my junior brother and let him accept you as a disciple in name. Your position will definitely be higher than being the 8th elder here. To let Kang Mingming do things, he naturally had to promise some benefits. Otherwise he wouldn't do it wholeheartedly. So, he gave Kang Mingming to Xianzhen as a disciple in name. Last time, Patriarch Xianzhen didn't say anything about the matter between Little 1 and Little 11, but he already had some complaints about junior brother Xuanzhen's actions. Patriarch Xianzhen clearly knew about the relationship between Lin Yi and Patriarch Xianzhen, but he hid it from Lin Yi. After that, he still thought that Patriarch Xianzhen was in the dark. Did he really think that Patriarch Xianzhen didn't have any information channels? At least, in the Heavenly Elixir sect, Patriarch Xianzhen's words had more weight than Patriarch Xuanzhen's. There was no other reason. This was a sect that refined pills. They were naturally close to a high-level alchemist like Patriarch Xianzhen. However, from this matter, Patriarch Xianzhen had a trace of doubt about what happened in the past. He could be considered to have seen through Xuanzhen's nature. Could it be that what happened in the past was related to him? Patriarch Xianzhen's cultivation deviation. Was it? Thinking of this, Patriarch Xianzhen didn't dare to imagine. Fellow disciples of the same sect actually killed each other for the position of sect leader? Patriarch Xianxun was ambitious, but it was because his ambition was too big that his master didn't pass the position of sect leader to him. Patriarch Xuanxun's ambition was very likely to become his fatal weakness. Boss Bai was calm, amiable, and had great aspirations in his heart. This kind of person was the kind of person that a sect leader should have. Xianxun was only suitable to be a thug and a pioneer. Patriarch Xianxun was the one with the least personality. He had no ambition and no aspirations. He only focused on alchemy and was not interested in anything else. This kind of person was also the kind of person that Patriarch Xianxun liked to keep. He didn't have any competitive relationship with him and could even become his helper. During this period of time, whenever Patriarch Xianxun thought about these things, he would feel very depressed and helpless. He didn't dare to disobey the orders of the sect and went all out to prepare for the plan to return to Heavenly Island. However, he also hoped that Boss Bai could return to preside over the overall situation and lead the Five-Element sect to Heavenly Island. Chapter 2734. However, in the Five-Element sect, almost everyone was Xianxun ancestors' people and disciples. It was very difficult for Xuanzhen ancestor to do anything. Shaking his head, Xuanzhen ancestor could only stop thinking about these things. There were some things that he couldn't change. He could only endure in silence. Lin Yi stopped using Wang Xinyan's fragrance to cultivate. This made Wang Xinyan confused. She looked at Lin Yi, who was focused in class, and asked with a strange expression, Why aren't you cultivating? Oh, isn't it almost the final exam? I'm studying, Lin Yi said casually. Studying? Aren't you specially forgiven by Teacher Bai? You can get credits without taking the final exam? Wang Xinyan blinked. She was surprised by Lin Yi's answer. Haha, that's what I said, but I still have to take the exam. Lin Yi smiled. But you don't have to study so hard. Wang Xinyan bit her lips and said, How about you cultivate? I'll take off my coat. Lin Yi was stunned and looked at Wang Xinyan. I just want you to cultivate, nothing else. Wang Xinyan really didn't mean anything else. She wanted Lin Yi to cultivate as soon as possible and have the strength to fight against the Heavenly Elixir sect. That way she wouldn't have to live in fear every day, so she wanted to help Lin Yi improve as much as possible. Originally, Lin Yi didn't want to say it, but looking at Wang Xinyan's expression, he knew that if he didn't explain clearly, she would get to the bottom of it. Lin Yi had no choice but to explain, Xinyan, it's not that I don't want to cultivate, but your body seems to have a problem because of my cultivation. My body? What's wrong? Wang Xinyan was stunned. She didn't understand what Lin Yi meant. Haven't you been lethargic recently? I suspect that it's because I've absorbed your fragrance. Lin Yi said. What? My scent? Xinyan looked at Lin Yi, a little taken aback. But Lin Yi reminded her. You seem to have thought of something. On nights when you're not around, I can get up normally the next morning. Is that right? Yes, that's it. Lin Yi nodded. Although I'm not very sure, it should be close to the mark. So, I stopped cultivating to prevent the problem with your body from becoming more serious. What? Then how are you going to train? Xinyan said worriedly. In her plan, Lin Yi could cultivate quickly with the help of her fragrance during his college years. By the time he graduated, he should be able to compete with the Heavenly Elixir sect. Lin Yi wouldn't be able to use her to train, and that meant that his training speed would slow down. Xinyan was a little sad about that. It's okay. Didn't I cultivate when you weren't around? Lin Yi shrugged nonchalantly and said, Plus I've been training for so long I've already gotten quite a lot. I'll think of other ways to train in the future. Xinyan sighed. He knew that it was related to his body and he couldn't train anymore. So she said, Then can you think of a way to cure my body as soon as possible? Can I continue to cultivate like that? I can't say for now. Although I've been giving you medicine every day, the effect isn't very obvious. Your body seems to be getting weaker day by day. Maybe you can't feel it, but it's a big cycle change. Lin Yi said. So, I can only wait until I stop cultivating and see if you can slowly recover. I see. Okay, I really hope I can get better soon. Xinyan became a little bolder with her mother's support yesterday. When that time comes, I can help you cultivate. Cultivate after recovering? Lin Yi was shocked. Won't there be a problem again? It's fine. I'll stop when there's a problem. I'll continue when I'm better, Xinyan said. Xinyan's words sounded like a joke, a little mischievous, but to Lin Yi he couldn't help but feel touched. For a girl to make such a sacrifice for you, her feelings didn't need to be expressed. No matter how stupid Lin Yi was, he could understand Xinyan's feelings. But what Lin Yi didn't understand was that if Xinyan liked him, why didn't she accept him? Was it because she was worried about Kang Xiaolong? But Lin Yi could understand Xinyan's worries. With the strength he had shown so far, he couldn't fight against the Sky Elixir sect. Even when Lin Yi brought up Xiao Xiao's identity the other day, he had no other choice. Xiaolong brought up the ancient background but Lin Yi didn't. Otherwise Lin Yi wouldn't have brought it up. Lin Yi could fight above his level but he was only in Earth class late phase. With that kind of strength, it was impossible to fight against the Sky Elixir sect. After thinking about it, Lin Yi didn't force Xinyan. He didn't want to cause her too much trouble. One day when he stepped on the Sky Elixir sect, everything would be fine. Thank you. There were so many things he wanted to say but in the end he could only say 2 words. He didn't know how to express his feelings. It's nothing. Xinyan shook her head. Why would there be a problem with my body? How troublesome. Don't worry, I'll think of something for you, Lin Yi said. Yeah. Xinyan said with a heavy nod. She trusted Lin Yi a lot. But in the next few days Xinyan's condition got worse and worse. Lin Yi brewed the medicine for Xinyan every day, he'd even stopped practicing. Xinyan woke up normally to go to school, but it was inevitable that she'd doze off at school. What worried Lin Yi the most was that Xinyan's afternoon nap became a nap every time between classes. She even had to fight to keep her eyes open during class. If she wasn't careful, she'd fall asleep. Xinyan's constant drowsiness worried both Lin Yi and Xiaolong. Xiaolong couldn't hold it in anymore, seeing how Xinyan kept falling asleep in class for no reason. He didn't even have the chance to get close to Xinyan because other than during class, Xinyan was sleeping all the time. It was impossible for him to get close to her even if he wanted to. She was even sleeping during class, what chance did he have? Chapter 27:35. What did you do to her last night? I don't think we should let her stay in the dorms at school. Xiaolong knew from the hospital that Xinyan was still a virgin, but Xinyan was a girl living in Lin Yi's villa with Mengyao and Yushu. Xiaolong didn't feel comfortable letting her stay in the school dorms, so he decided to use this opportunity as an excuse to have Xinyan move back to the school dorms. There's something wrong with her body? Lin Yi didn't plan on hiding it from Xiaolong. He just needed to hide the fact that she was training. Her body's getting weaker and weaker. What else can I do to her? I would have done it a long time ago if I wanted to. You're hurting her by letting her stay in the dorms. What? There's something wrong with her body? Xiaolong was shocked. What did you say? Are you serious? Why is her body getting weaker and weaker? Wasn't she fine before? Why did she get weaker after meeting you? If Xiaolong had said this at any other time, Lin Yi would have sent him flying with a kick. But because of his guilt towards Xinyan, Xiaolong was right. Xinyan only became weaker after meeting him, and that made Lin Yi feel very guilty. But he couldn't back down in front of Xiaolong. He looked at him and said faintly, Xinyan's body has been weak since she was young. You're her fiancé, don't you know that? I don't think you should be her fiancé anymore. You don't know her as well as I do. Fuck. I want to know her too. You've been hogging the seat beside Xinyan all day, what can I do? Xiaolong said, a little annoyed. How's her situation now? Not too well, I've given her the medicine but the effects aren't that obvious and it's getting worse and worse. Lin Yi had been thinking about Xinyan's problem for the past couple of days. He couldn't eat or drink and this was all because of him. If something were to happen to Xinyan, then he'd be the one to blame for it. You made the medicine? Can it be used? It can't kill someone, can it? Xiaolong was furious at Lin Yi's words. She's sick, you should be sending her to the hospital. What if you treat her on your own and make her sick? Are you really stupid or just pretending to be stupid? Cultivators go to the hospital? Besides, she's not sick at all. She's just weak. It should be a problem with her body. It's useless to go to the hospital. Lin Yi said, if you have the ability, don't talk to me about this nonsense. You can also think of a way. Lin Yi was at his wit's end, so Lin Yi didn't reject Xiaolong's visit. It'd be great if he could come up with a good idea. As the saying goes, brainstorming is the best. Where's the prescription you gave her? Let me see, I need to get Professor Bai to appraise it. Maybe it's because of your stupid medicine. Xiaolong extended his hand, asking for the prescription from Lin Yi. Do you think I'm Dr. Kang's medical company that specializes in scamming people? Lin Yi curled his lips. You. Xiaolong's face turned red at Lin Yi's words, but he couldn't refute it. After all, House Kang had done such things before. He could only huff. You're not willing to give it to me. Are you feeling guilty? Don't talk about the past. Oh, I'll give it to you. Lin Yi took a piece of paper and wrote down the prescription for Xinyan. It wasn't a secret at all. Xiaolong didn't expect Lin Yi to write down the prescription so quickly. He was a little surprised, but he still took the prescription and went to find Boss Bai. The reason why Lin Yi gave it so quickly was because he wanted Xiaolong to discuss with the Hidden House Yu or even the Sky Elixir sect, to see if they could improve the prescription. For Xinyan, Lin Yi didn't care about these small details. After a while, Boss Bai came. Lin Yi had talked to Boss Bai about Xinyan, and Boss Bai had been studying Xinyan's problem. He knew what was going on the moment Xiaolong saw him. He explained to Xiaolong, "There's no problem with this prescription. Lin Yi has shown it to me these few days, but the effect isn't great. It's not that the prescription isn't good, but that these herbs are just too common. These herbs should be fine for normal diseases, but Xinyan's body has been weak since she was young. These herbs can't replenish the energy she loses every day, and that's why her body is getting weaker and weaker." Then why was she fine before? Why did she become like this after going to Lin Yi's house? Xiaolong wasn't an idiot. Boss Bai smiled bitterly, thinking that Xiaolong wasn't an idiot after all. He had discussed with Lin Yi a long time ago, Xinyan's body was weak when she was young, and her father brought her everywhere to seek treatment. They met a traveling master who gave her father some herbs, including a rare elixir. That's why Xinyan has been fine all these years. But now, it seems that the effects of those herbs and elixirs have worn off, and that's why Xinyan's problem has appeared. So that's how it is. Xiaolong didn't think that Boss Bai would lie to him. After all, he didn't need to ask Wang Shubin. He could ask Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben and he would be able to verify it later. What kind of herbs and elixirs did that traveling master give you? Is there a prescription? I'm not sure about that. According to Wang Xinyan herself, there's no such thing. But I've been looking through some ancient books these days, and I've come up with a potion that should be more useful than Lin Yi's. Bai Bo said as he took out a prescription. Xiaolong quickly took it and looked at Lin Yi with disdain. "See, I told you that your prescription isn't good. Master Bai is indeed Master Bai. Your student is definitely not good enough." Lin Yi smiled non-committally. He wasn't in the mood to argue with Xiaolong. White Boss on the other hand smiled. "Lin Yi's recipe is already very good. My recipe is a little stronger, but it uses some of the rarer ingredients. Normal pharmacies don't even sell them. Xiaolong, isn't your brother an elder of the Sky Elixir sect? Let's ask him if he has it." Normal people didn't know that Kang Ming Ming had become the 8th elder of the Sky Elixir sect, but it had spread in the ancient and hidden circles. Boss Bai, as the former head of the 5 Elements sect, naturally received the news.